About the thickest one I've seen since we've been.
Yeah, the back half of it's all highway. The back half is highway proposals for those, so that's,
Community
yeah,
crossings.
that's half of it.
You have a good vacation?
Oh, yeah.
He's bow-legged. He's bow-legged.
A lot of riding.
Make that trip on a horse, takes all year.
Yeah.
That might be enjoyable.
Huh?
How many miles?
3,100 in 5 days. All right, folks, it's 9 o'clock. Try to get the meeting started here. Let's get started with the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, would you lead us in prayer this morning, please?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we come before you today to give you honor, glory, and praise. We thank you for your love and mercy and grace you may do. Lord, watch over us and guide us, guide the commissioners, Lord, guide the community as we grow together as one. And please forgive us of any sin or shortcomings that befall us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Take a roll call this morning. Dale DuBois? Here. Bob Curry?
Here.
Gary Burton? Here. All right, we've got a ton on the agenda this morning, so we're gonna try to get through it as efficient as possible here. First up is the matter of approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, approve minutes.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second? Or excuse me, Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. 3-0, Sheila. In the matter of claims, before we bring this to a motion, the county attorney would like to speak briefly, please.
Commissioners, I'm sure you're probably most aware about everything I'm getting ready to say, but just kind of wanted to just do just a real brief update on the claims, the claim process, the claim docket. Today you have a claim docket with the total amount is $668,000, $132.00. The amount coming out of the general fund, Fund 1000, is $305,094.40. The cash balance in the general fund as of May 31st was $25,000. So, point out that this will put the general fund in the red. Now, the auditor's already contacted the State Board of Accounts. They're well aware of that, and even though there's a general rule about paying out of the red, they're completely have complete knowledge of this. They're well aware that the auditor, the county council, commissioners, department heads, everyone is working towards that and working towards a solution. So there is a permissibility as far as going into the general fund. In saying that though, I'm going to point out, and also speaking with the auditor, this is the report for the fund ledger financial, and it's about 10 pages. This particular report gives the fund balance. So this is a very good report. So it would tell you on a particular date what's in the fund. Now, this is just one line for the general fund for 1,000. If you pulled up every expense, expenditures and receipts in Fund 1000 General Fund, that page is that report is 165 pages as of the 31st. So the reason what I think being requested, commissioners, the auditor, and if there's any objection, I'm just giving an opinion. So this is what I. But starting next on the 21st, every claim that comes in has to be checked against the fund, of course. One, is there even money in the fund? But two, in a particular line item. So for example, if someone would present a claim for $600 on the 21st, and they only have $500 in their appropriation, that's what the county council has agreed for, that can be spent, that claim is going back to that office. The office will need to possibly do an appropriation, possibly a transfer. There are mechanisms, not to get in the weeds too much, but if all these are in the same 100 series, you can do an internal transfer. But the idea is, beginning on the 21st, is to double and perhaps even triple check to make sure that no claim is coming in here before you that has a proper appropriation for it. Now, in saying that, again, there's always that exception. So in the 50,000 series are unappropriated, but if we could take a real hard look at anything that goes in that classification and then notice to the county council, that would help them with their budgets. Update then, on the 14th, the county council's meeting, I believe in the morning, and more of what would be, I'd say more in a workshop area of going through line by line on every one of these departments to make sure that their budget matches what they believe, what they think is in there. And then corrections being made later that night on the 14th. And then the other part, just, I guess for everybody to understand, when you're approving the claims, and I know commissioners, you already know this, but you're not approving, hey, now it's okay to do this. You're paying claims that have already been done. So it's not really an option, respectfully, gentlemen, that if the $500 worth of supplies have been delivered, it's been certified, they're here. We have to pay that bill, okay? That's not it. Now, the other part I would ask also for the departments, there are procedures. When you're getting supplies, you need to make sure that there's a certification to the auditor, all that has been received. If there's services that needs to be certified, yes, we have hired, I'm just gonna make this up, we've hired an accountant. This accountant has done this service. Then the auditor certifies that all of these purchases of supplies are correct, services are correct, and then they're making a certification for you. You also have the authority, if you so desire, to do your own follow-up on any one of the claims. But, so if you see a claim, say, I don't know if this is correct, I don't have this amount, that can be pulled. But I just want to make it clear to everyone, you don't have the option today just to say, we're not gonna pay $600,000 worth of claims. That's respectfully how the movie said, that's not how any of this works, on here. But the idea would be that starting on the 21st, that the appropriation and the claim matched. If it goes over, then there must be the proper procedures for appropriation or transfer before this claim comes to you. That way we can work on the budget. And then finally up here, I think we're down to about 12 funds that are in the red. That is decreasing, that continues to decrease, which is good. And I hope that by the 14th and then by the 30th of June, that a number of these funds and the line items in the red, those can be eliminated also.
Thank you, Jim. All right, gentlemen, with that being said, do I hear a motion to approve claims for 6/7/2021?
I'll second. I'll make a motion in effect.
Got a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. 3-0 Sheila.
Can I send an email to all the department heads, or do we bring it up at the 14th meeting, just because we're expecting all the department heads to be there?
I would go ahead and send that email, get ahead of it before the 14th. That way they know what they're dealing with when that meeting occurs. Okay. Next on the agenda, old business, storage unit management. All right, gentlemen, this is something that we've discussed for quite some time. And in the financial crunch that the county's in, we need to acquire every dollar that we can. We've discussed this in several different meetings, and it has finally been decided that we are going to bring this back in-house and bring that to our building department. Suzanne Zimmerman has run that department, has done an outstanding job, and she is going to take this over for us. Suzanne, do you have any questions or any concerns? I know we've talked about this. Jim, would you like to jump in here? I know we have a notification time that we have to send out?
Sure, you have an independent, Vortex has managed it for years. There would definitely need time for a transition and to contact with Vortex on making this. I would say July 1st would be an impossibility, that's my opinion, but I would think at some time, if you're looking at August 1st, September 1st, to give time to work with the transition, work with Vortex on making that type of transition. I would say those would be more of a reasonable date period.
Okay,
August 1st, is when?
August 1st to take over, give them a notification before then. So at this time, ask for a motion for approval to bring this back in-house to the building department with a lengthy notification to Vortex. Do I hear that motion?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
I have a motion by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Next up, farm lease, Robert Keene for the hay. Jim, do you need to read this lease out loud?
Well, no, I do, but only the description area. For everyone, this is an approval of a farm land lease contract. This would now be the third such contract that you have. What this is property owned by the county, and this is a contract with an independent contractor to do maintenance on that property, but so there's no misunderstandings, there's a full written contract, but there's three areas that would be critical. So this would be a contract between the Owen County Board of Commissioners and with Mr. Robert Keene. The county would be known as the landlord, Mr. Keene will now be known as the tenant. Those are the three major substandard portions of the contract. One is the description. This is the Owen County pasture ground located in the Owen County landfill located near Spencer, Indiana by Highway 43. It is more specifically described as parcel number 60, 1710 500 080 1000.16. The term of this contract will be for 2 years. It will begin on June 1st of 2021. It will end on May 31st of 2023, and at that time the tenant shall peacefully return the possession of the land to the landlord. The rent, this was a maintenance issue, so in lieu of paying annual rent, the tenant shall mow the property at least 2 times per year. Additionally, the tenant shall perform all maintenance tasks as dictated by the Owen County Highway Superintendent. This is a public contract. It has a number of tenants. Just pointing out the conditions for the tenant and the fact that he has no ownership in the land. It would need to be approved in a public meeting today, sign and attest to it, and then Mr. Keene can come in if this is acceptable.
All right, gentlemen, you got any questions on any of this? The highway department was maintaining this before, so this will save them a little bit of time and labor out there, so. And I'm sure Bob's at work today and we'll stop in and get this signed down the road. So at this time, I'll ask for a motion for approval of the farm lease with Mr. Robert Keene.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. All right, next up, public hearing concerning the Owen County Zoning and Subdivision Control Ordinance Amendment.
C and D.
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I marked those off because I wouldn't get there. Let me back up just a little bit, I'm sorry. Health Department roster, we already approved that at the last meeting.
Mentioned, but he had sent the letter after that, you just wanted confirmation, so.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any change in that whatsoever, so we're all good with that one. The Paycor Lao status, there's nothing there really to discuss. We had the 2 invoices to finish out this year. The 2022 budget that they had sent for us, we've got till December to worry about that. Obviously, it'll come budget hearings for sure, so about all we got on those, but at least we touched base on them. Okay, let me go back now. We'll open up the public hearing for the Owen County Zoning Subdivision Control Ordinance Amendment. Jim, do you want to touch on this before we move forward, please?
Yeah, and I know there's parties here to speak in favor and to speak against, so again, what I'm just outlining are just some procedures here, and not making an opinion in any way. But Commissioners, what's coming before you is on May 11th, 2021, the Plan Commission heard a request to change the Owen County zone map. It met pursuant to Indiana Code 36.74605, and the Plan Commission may certify a request with either a favorable recommendation, unfavorable, or no recommendation. The Plan Commission did conduct a hearing, and by majority vote, they did have now certified to you a request with a favorable recommendation. Pursuant to Indiana Code 36.74608, you, the legislative body, shall now hear the proposal at the first regular meeting that this proposal is certified. So this is the first scheduled meeting after the certification process, and that will be heard on the June 7th, 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting this morning. You may only take action if at least a majority of elected members of the body, you have a full quorum. So you meet the statutory regulations. There are a few procedure things that I think would be important to be put in the record before we start. I know the building director is here. Susan, if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask you a few questions just to clarify. Did you in fact present to the auditor a certification with a recommendation to the auditor?
Yes.
Okay, and that has been presented. Was that signed by the president of the Plan Commission?
Yes.
And yourself also?
Yes.
And also, was there any notice of any kind given to the public concerning this meeting?
There was a notice put into the Spencer Evening World and one put in the Brazil Times.
Okay, and both of those, were those done prior to 10 days?
10 days, yes, 10 days prior to the meeting.
Okay, Commissioners, that would certify it be and comply with Indiana Code 514-1.5-5, there's a notion to intent. Was also an ordinance prepared by the petitioner,
Yes.
and has that been submitted to the auditor also?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioners, at this time on the procedural certifications have been completed, notice has been given. I would ask, is there any objections by any party here today on any procedural methods? Not whether the Plan Commission should have said they were in favor or not, but does anyone have any objections at this point to the Commissioners hearing this petition? Being none, at this point, determination, there was a petitioner here to say, in essence, they want to rezone the area. The area was agricultural, they want to rezone it to commercial. Generally, I think the practice is the petitioner would go first, and then there is opposition, and the attorney for them, and perhaps other people who want to speak before you make your determination.
Thank you, Jim. All right, at this time, Brad and Angela Long, if you want to come up to the table right here. Good morning.
Morning.
We're ready when you are, just fire away.
I'm gonna apologize for my voice. The Clay City girls won semi-state for softball, and my niece plays, and I yelled a lot, so it's not very good.
Congratulations to them.
So we're here to request our ground to be rezoned from agricultural to commercial, because we would have been looking into putting a wedding venue on that property. Something that we've been looking into and praying about for 4 years, and so I don't know how much you want me to say. We have put a lot of thought into it, months of research, and looking at how it would affect the area and how that property would be good for it. We have, our building is through DC Metal, and we have a state approved, the building has been state approved, and the foundation has been state approved, and our septic system, last October, we got soil samples done, and we had those sent off to the state of Indiana, and we had to tell them, what our plans were and how big the building was, and how many people it could hold potentially, and then they sent back a form that said how much, how big the septic has to be by the state of Indiana, and we hired a septic engineer. And he came out and surveyed it all, and and he drew up plans and sent those off to the state of Indiana. And it took a couple of months for them to look at it, and we got that back approved. And we're just excited, ready to get going. I know I have a lot of people that are looking forward to having their weddings there. So, if anything.
That's kind of the gist of, like I say, everything is approved other than rezoning with the state.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at this point. That's the holdup, just one of the other steps in the process, so.
I feel like we've, I have a lady that's kind of been mentoring me from southern Indiana that has a wedding barn. And she passed along the favor of, you're only gonna do this once, I'm never gonna do this again. So, she's gonna help me through all the steps, and they have to, get everything approved by the state, and go through zoning, and that was something, really, I was very new to, so, yeah, we've been going through all the steps, and like I said, we have like a 30-page business plan. We did a lot of research for the bank, and, have to get their approval. And wanted them to think it was a good business plan, so.
Looks like you've done your homework here from what I can see. Looks like you've got some support from other businesses in the community there.
Yes.
That's a big plus.
And that's one thing, community means a lot to me. Anyways, I got support from I know that, going to a lot of weddings, it's hit me over 4 years, I feel like I was supposed to do this. And, I kind of brushed it off to the side. People kept telling me, you should do this, you would be really good at it, and you have the heart for it, and, so we looked into it more, and he told me, we have this ground here, and it'd be great for it. Anyways, I know it will, you don't want people to go outside your community, you wanna bring people in. A community that's constantly going outside of itself is just gonna die. There's no, so that was one of our driving points was, we want people to come into our community and to build and, more jobs, and that's something, that I think that this barn will help do is create more jobs and people coming into, into town, or, and multiple, not just our community, but surrounding communities. So that was one of my driving forces, and we want to give back to the community as it grows. But one way I want to give back immediately is I've talked to the high school, and we both went to Clay City. We both grew up there our whole lives. I went to school there, and like I said, I have nieces and nephews there, and we have said that we would host Clay City prom for free. Just, it's 3 miles from the high school. It's a nice, safe place. They don't have to drive all the way to Terre Haute, or, I remember when I was in school, we drove all the way to Greencastle for our prom, and, it's a long way for kids to travel, and so I told the school that's something that, let's get built up, how we want to give back, and he was very excited about that. So yeah, we love our community, and we're ready to
As we all should.
grow it, yeah.
Bob, you're on the planning commission. You have any comments on this?
They were there before the meeting and stuff, and I really have no concerns about it. Like I said, just piece of property can be used for a lot of things other than what she's wanting them used for. That can be a lot worse, and I see no problem with it, absolutely none.
Dale, you got any comments at this point?
Yeah, I'm not, no problem with it.
Well, folks, we thank you for your time, and we'll let the opposition come up and present their case at this point.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Folks, have a good day.
You too.
Where's this property at?
County line.
County line, between Butler and this.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
46, we crossed it over. I thought the map was out there.
I
Just one side of the
hope
lake.
that the commissioners are in possession of a petition and objection to this matter. More than 100 persons have signed a petition objecting to this particular rezone. And I hope the commissioners will listen to the substance of our argument. I know that there are thoughts that these people are good people and they have a good theoretical business plan, but I want to talk to the difference here between this was the wrong application. It should never have been a rezone. What you have to understand is that the county spent over $100,000 in studies that led to two of the most recent comprehensive plans. And the comprehensive plan for your planning commission is the Bible. And it says that this particular property is zoned as agricultural preserve. It was decided by the persons who prepared the comprehensive plan to say we have 250,000 acres of farm grounds in Owen County. And we want to protect and keep that particular asset as part of our fabric. In fact, persons who have previously located their homes in this neighborhood have lived there with the expectation of privacy and quiet enjoyment of their property, and they're entitled to the protections afforded by the comprehensive plan, and the anticipation that the commissioners will sustain the existing conditions, and that they've come to rely upon those. The protesters in large part are family-related homeowners who have spent decades in the properties without the intervention of high-density traffic, noise of celebratory events, and general disruption caused by business activity. They do not believe that there have been adequate attention made in the problems of the wastewater disposal, the water resources, despite the assurances that these conditions and consultants have been added to this process. And the reason we say that is, my experience as a veteran of dozens and dozens of rezoning and planning commission hearings in this county and others is you need to have the intervention of the health department sanitarian to determine that whatever the engineers have proposed is going to be adequate for that commercial purpose at all. There has been no county health department advisal about those matters. This is a county road that borders the Owen County, Clay County property and all. It has Amish people who are living in this neighborhood. The particular tract involved here is in a 3D manner. You can see this is the tract of land they're intending to build on. Okay, that's where it is, okay? This is a map with just some of the people who are adjacent to the property in stars and all, showing their proximity to where this property is going to be. These are people who are all of those protest numbers that you saw. The purpose of the comprehensive plan is to guide the future development and growth of the county. It provides the framework for the planning and implementation of public improvements, decision-making regarding the land use and zoning issues, and the encouragement of private investment in sustainable land use practices. In Indiana, it is required that the planning decisions follow that advice unless it is amended or there are findings that a new proposed use would not be incompatible with the stated purposes. It must not adversely affect the adjacent agreed landowners' land values, which my people believe it will. We have all these persons, the 100 persons have got different reasons many of them different kinds of reasons, so I don't wanna make it as if it is just one thing. Now, here's the critical point. The effect of rezoning of the property is a permanent, unconditional, uncontrolled, irrevocable event. Now, let me take those words per each one. It's permanent. Once you make this commercial, it goes on forever until that use is changed, okay? It is unconditional. You don't have to build a wedding chapel on there from today's motion you make to a rezone. They can change that to a Walmart tomorrow, and you get no authority to reject that. They don't have to come back before any county board, none. They can just do whatever they want to with that property. That's why this is the wrong petition. It should never have been a rezone. It's irrevocable. You can't take it back if you don't like something in the future. It's done with a rezone. It's over. It doesn't make any difference whether the long's owned or not. They can sell it tomorrow. It's over. The Longs can put any commercial activity on that property. They are not limited to even carrying out the wedding venue. They could disguise it if they wanted to. No matter what proposed use of the current announcement, this property will forever be available to any commercial use as defined by the county zoning ordinances. This means that these applicants can use or sell their property for any other business or commercial venture without further application to any county authority, and that business can operate 24/7, 365. With impunity. Consider this, the wedding chapel venue becomes a self-service gas station, convenience store, or a shopping strip mall. This is what is a non-starter for this kind of change. With all due respect, the protesters are happy to agree that they agree that the entrepreneurial spirit of the Longs is great. They just don't want this to be on this particular property. There's nothing wrong with their planning in trying to do all this. It's just the wrong thing to do. It should never be rezoned in this agricultural area. The protesters feel that the Planning Commission's recommendations are the direct result of a misunderstanding of what the law is in this proceeding, and the protesters will continue to oppose this use here and if necessary in court. They feel that they are representing not only themselves, but every citizen in Owen County, every citizen who is similarly concerned about whether or not they can rely on the comprehensive plan and rely upon the boards and commissions that review them to understand the fundamental substance of what this is about. The failure to have any conditions on this property whatsoever, and the failure to use the appropriate methodology to get conditions means that this must fail. They do not want to see spot zoning. Spot zoning is when you have an area that is defined, and then in the center of that, or any fringe of it, no, you put a zone that is inconsistent with a compatible plan. Spot zoning, and you don't take my word for it, ask the county attorney, is considered to be arbitrary, capricious, and illegal. And court cases have heard this matter over and over again. What happens is, most cases that go up on appeal from zoning board matters are cases in which a petition to rezone is denied. It is the usual course of action because it is the customary response to a rezone because of the fact that you want to keep your comprehensive plan intact. You have to have very, very good reasons to change your zoning map on that. There are other procedures that might have been better. They weren't used. It is not our discussion today about that whatsoever. We're not here to negotiate. The point is simply, this is the wrong thing to do. Lastly and finally, the protesters urge the commissioners to deny the rezone from agricultural to commercial and to preserve the precedent and history of the neighborhood as a quiet, agricultural, farm residential, peaceful, and a retirement prospective community asset. Now, there are others here to speak. I ask that all 100 people did not appear today in respect to COVID-19 matters and others. But this is a very serious discussion, a very serious decision. It is not having anything to do with the law's qualities whatsoever as persons or their business plan. It has everything to do about what the substance of this particular proceeding is all about, and a misunderstanding in our comprehension of what the planning commission is to do in a rezone and what the effects may be. Thank you.
Richard, before you get up, would you get that map back up, please?
The one with the stars?
Yep.
Yeah,
Show me the county line, please.
the county line right there.
That is the county line, okay? Where's the nearest highway?
Nearest highway,
Mhm.
I'll ask my
3 miles, 5 miles?
1 mile south.
1 mile south, okay. So it's not directly on a highway, just questions for myself. Thank you. You gentlemen have any questions before Richard starts down? Okay, thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else how many here are here to oppose the application for rezone? It would not, is anyone else want to add to what I've already said?
I like that one thing. So if you see the map, Arlene is one of them.
What was your name, sir?
My name is Kenton Brown.
Kenton Brown?
Yeah.
Okay,
So Arlene is what surrounds the whole piece here. So,
so you're on the Owen County side then?
we're on the Owen County side.
Okay.
And my dad bought the place roughly 30 years ago. He's since passed away, my mom's here. And he bought that for my family, my brothers and sisters, to bring our family from the city and have a quiet place to stay. I don't want to reiterate what he just said, so my biggest concern is I have a daughter that's 10, she's autistic, and we go down there, it's a place that's quiet, like she can ride the UTV, she can handle that. I'm afraid if we have noise there, she's not gonna be able to get out of the car. She can't handle change. I mean, I make mac and cheese every morning for 8 years. She eats the same things. And it's gonna be really hurtful if I go down there and she won't get out of the car. Then it affects my other 2 kids and their enjoyment, because then they are sad because we're running. So that, besides the spot zoning, besides reducing our property value, besides having people drinking and trespassing potentially on us, the closest hotel is 20 minutes away. It's a long place to drive. Long drive for somebody after a wedding drinking. My biggest concern is just my family being able to enjoy it and my daughter.
How many acres do you have around that?
We have 110.
Okay.
Was there anyone else?
My name is Andy Yoho, and I've been affiliated with the neighborhood for almost all my life, over 50 years. I live right here.
So you're on Clay side,
I'm sorry,
She's on the Owen side.
okay.
on the Owen side, yes, yes. And our neighborhood kind of came together. My parents purchased the property over here, over, like I said, in the late 60s. And we would come down and camp because my dad owned a business in Carmel. And we came down to camp to relax and get away from the hustle and bustle and for my dad to spend time with his family. So of course, then they started dreaming about building their own home there. So in 1973, my parents built a house that's right here. My dad passed away about 5 years ago. My daughter, who's back there, now lives in the house. So she is the second generation to be raised there, third generation to live in the neighborhood. She just got engaged a couple weeks ago, and they're planning on raising their family there. So I want to say all of the neighbors who are here came for the same reason that my parents did, to relax, get away from the traffic, the noise, and people. Not that we don't like people, but, you know, we enjoy our privacy. We enjoy the peace and quiet. We enjoy nature. I've had horses almost my entire life, and I rode up and down all these roads, you know, since I was a kid. And we have a lot of neighbors who have horses who ride on the roads. Again, the Amish, we have a safety issue. The Amish, a lot of the families live over here, and a lot of the families live down here. And they travel this road in their horse and buggies, you know, day and night. They have flashers on their vehicles, but if you're not familiar with the Amish, I mean, I had a scare myself with one, and I was aware they were there, and it was dark, and I was stone sober. And it scared me to death, because I didn't know what it was, so I was right on it. And if someone's been at a party and had a couple of drinks, it's just not, that's just not a good situation. I think that's a huge safety issue. Also, we have a lot of hunting that goes on in our neighborhood, and I think that's another safety issue, especially with the high-powered rifles that are allowed these days. You know, we have dreams, and our dreams matter too. We have generations of families that have dreams in this neighborhood. You know, I wanna see my grandchildren raised here. I want them to be able to ride their bikes on the road safely. I want them to be able to ride their mini bikes and do all the things I did as a kid, and as my kids did when they were kids. You know, the weekends are our time. My husband and I work all week. You know, we have a lot of neighbors that use the properties for a weekend getaway, and it's just not enjoyable when there's, you know, we're talking about a 300-person venue. So you're talking about, what, 150 cars average. If it's a full venue, that's a lot of traffic on our road. You know, and that's a huge invasion of our weekend, our privacy, and the reasons that we bought our properties and the reasons we live where we live. The Van Sickles, I don't think Austin made it, did he? The Van Sickles just moved to our neighborhood. They bought this house right here. They left Corey, which is a little town north of us, north and west of us, where there's a place called the Bad Apple Saloon. And it's a bar and an outdoor live band venue. And it's right in this cluster of homes. And they moved to get their family, their 3 small children away from that. From the noise, the traffic, the alcohol, all the things that go along with that. And then they found out this was coming in. So, you know, they based their decision on the same things we have based our lives on. The fact that this was a quiet, peaceful, wonderful neighborhood, a great place to raise your kids, great place to recreate and just enjoy being away from it. You know, we can't move. We can't pick this up and move it somewhere else. You know, we don't have anything against what the Longs want to do or the Longs. We just want them to do it somewhere else. Can I have this map here? We also have, they own this property right here, and this is just a blow up. Let me turn it the same direction. This is just a blow up of where the Blue Star is. They own this. The Browns own the beauty around it. They don't own the beauty around it. They own this.
How many acres is that again? 12 acres?
12.5 or something.
Okay. I didn't see it
But this is
listed anywhere, it's the reason I was
exploitation.
asking.
I'm sorry, but this is exploitation. And the definition of exploitation as a verb, and I quote, to selfishly take advantage of someone in order to profit from them or to otherwise benefit oneself. I would like to ask on behalf of my neighbors, myself, the generations that came before us, the generations that will come after us, to deny this commercial zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask a quick question here of our highway superintendent. Can you give me a condition of this road? Is this a road that we maintain? Is it one that is divided between us and Clay County? Or-
Let me see the map.
It's not being maintained, it's just paid.
Okay,
It's all Clay County.
Yeah, it's all Clay County's road, okay. The reason I ask is we share different roads with different counties, and I just want to see who's maintaining it and the condition of the road.
There's a short section of gravel through there we may maintain, but if it's asphalt, it's not ours.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns?
My name is Fred Flagel. I'm one of the property owners there directly across the street in Clay County. But I really don't understand why there's any difference between a resident who joins this property being either a Clay or an Owen. You ask those questions. If the tax benefits are going to Owen County, I can certainly see why you guys would approve this. If the road maintenance and all that is held by Clay County, then it's almost like they're taking advantage of that also, okay? And then just for Angela Long back here, Brandon really doesn't have a whole lot to say, but would everybody stand up who's in opposition to this? All the neighbors and everybody around there?
Yeah.
Would you mind looking around and to see what your neighborhood is?
Yeah, this is us, we live there. Right down
Brad, I
the
know you
street.
don't have everybody to say about it, it's a good plan. It's a very money-making plan, and it's almost a selfish plan. You got land in Clay County, you can move all this into Clay County.
Right.
The building ordinance is almost go out the window, because there's hardly any building restrictions in Clay County, and have it over by your house instead of by our houses.
Yeah.
There's, I've been told there's people who live 4 miles away from a venue like this, and they can hear it 4 miles away.
They wouldn't let me go.
So that's why we're proposing this. And you guys will make a lot of money on this, I'm sure you will.
Would you?
That's what entrepreneurship is about, that's what all it's about. But you're really taking advantage of us. And that property over here, if you wanna get out of it, I'll buy it off of you. And you can just move back where you were at over there and not upset all these people in here. And the other 100 and some people actually signed that petition. Just think about that, just consider us. Okay? That's pretty cool.
Well, I thank you for that, because you answered the question, because I was gonna ask if you live on the property, and obviously you don't, so, okay. Anyone else? Any discussion from you gentlemen?
I have none. There's, everything seems to be, like I said, I was on the board planning commission and we all approved it there, so it's up to you other two commissioners.
Well, at this time, I'm gonna ask for a motion for approval of ordinance number 2021-11.
I need to read it though.
I'm sorry, Jim, yes,
Yeah.
So, just so there is.
I apologize, I knew that.
This is, as both sides have indicated to you, this is a request for a rezone. It is not a request for conditional use by the BZA. It is not a request for a use variance from the BZA. This would be taking this property and it would be a rezone. And that's why it's coming to you from the Plan Commission and it's coming to you in front of an ordinance. So you have two papers. One is the certification and the findings. This is the actual ordinance. This would be ordinance number 2021. What would be our next number?
11.
It is 11.
Okay. This is ordinance number 2020-11. It's technical, but it's short. This is an ordinance to amend the Owen County zoning and subdivision control ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County of Indiana. Section 1, the Owen County zoning and subdivision control ordinance as amended is hereby amended to rezone the following described real estate in Marion Township, Owen County, Indiana. It begins at the northwest corner of section 23, Township 10 North, range 6 West, running thence south 56 degrees, 35 minutes east, 370.90 feet. Thence north 49 degrees, 57 minutes east, 317.44 feet, west 552.59 feet when at the beginning. Also beginning the southwest corner of section 14, Township 10 North, range 6 West, running thence 552.59 feet, Then it's north 49 degrees, 57 minutes east, 200.30 feet. Then north 22 degrees, 58 minutes east, 209.43 feet. Then north 3 degrees, 0 minutes east, 266.14 feet. Then south 88 degrees, 30 minutes west, 178.87 feet. North 12 degrees and 28 minutes west, 130.26 feet. Then south 81 degrees, 16 minutes west, 3117.76 feet. Then south 88 degrees, 31 minutes west, 287.80 feet. Then south 635.53 feet to the point of the beginning. This is subject to right-of-ways, conditions, restrictions, and other easements of record. It is more commonly known as the property address of 770 North County Line West, Clay City, Indiana 47841. General location is 3 miles east of Clay City on State Road 246 and 1 mile north on County Line Road, and the property is on the east side of the road. It is described as parcel number 60-13-14-300-130.000-023. Section 2, this above real estate should be, and the same is hereby rezoned from agricultural to business. Section 3, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect after its adoption. If so adopted or denied, it would not be, by the Board of Commissioners on a regular meeting held on June 7th of 2021. Board of Commissioners are Gary Burton, Robert Curry, and Dale Du Bois. This will require a yea or nay vote, and then that vote would be recorded by your name, and whatever the vote would be will be attested by Sheila Reeves, the auditor.
Thank you, Jim.
And then there's also the certification, which also would be be approved or denied also.
Mr. Bird, I just have one last comment, I'm sorry, but I owe it to the county. A decision to rezone based upon this ordinance will be fatally defective. It will not pass muster in court. It will cause the county more legal problems than it's had before. The decision on monster trash is a perfect example of how much money is spent to defend something that could not be defended. I would ask you to seriously think through the logistics of what we're talking about here and realize this is substantively fatal in its concept. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, if there's no other comment at this time, do I hear a motion to approve ordinance number 2021, the ordinance to amend the Owen County zoning and subdivision control ordinance?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Dale, a second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
2-1. Thank you all. Sheila, is this the correct? It doesn't have a tab, but I got a number on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like I say, if I could put it that where I put it on.
There you go. All right, moving on, American Rescue Plan. Okay. American Rescue Plan, registration and appointment. Sheila, I'm gonna let you jump in here. You sent us out an email explaining some of the different technicalities and what some of the different auditors and.
Okay. Again, we were sent notice that it has to be filed again electronically, which contains either the auditor or the commissioner in, as far as the signatory process of it, you guys have to make a motion if it's either Gary as the president or myself as the auditor. It does require our personal information, which is of concern. It's of concern to many counties, because you do have to put your name, social security number, your address, and you even have to do a fingerprint scan is they're including now as well. But it is required in order to get the county's $4 million. So, again, we have to do it in order to get the money.
Okay, Sheila. Well, as you and I, I've got to see about that. As you and I discussed earlier, it looks like several counties are using the auditor as the contact person and the president of the commissioners as the authorization individual. I feel that that is at our best interest, that you and I are both attached to this. That way you're not 100% obligated. I'm not 100% obligated. We have one another to work with on this as so-called internal controls in this particular situation, if you want to. So I think that that's important. This information that they need, which is a lot of personal information, will they require that from both of us since we're both going to be on it, I assume? Just want to make that aware, public knowledge there. So if you don't have a problem with that, both of us being on there, I'm going to make a motion that Sheila and I both be the contact, one authorization for the American Rescue money. We're talking roughly $2 million coming in here, and that way we have good control and good communication moving forward with this money.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second? I have a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0. So I'll get with you and we'll get that email sent out or whatever we need to do. I'd like to do that tomorrow, not today, since I just got back in town, if that's possible.
John's surgery's tomorrow. But
How about Wednesday?
And you can log into the site and
Okay.
we can both.
We'll get together and get that taken care of.
Yep.
Let's see, do we have a paper on that? Is there anything to sign now or anything? Just approval?
No, it's just the
Okay.
approval who's gonna do it.
Bear with me here. Okay. Next up is the State Board of Accounts Internal Control Edit Letter of Response. For those out there asking what this is all about, last year, the previous auditor sent back to the state an email stating the fact that she had trained her employees and that they were all aware of the situation that needed to be trained and the proper information provided to them to understand what it was that they were supposed to do as far as internal controls. As many things that we have found, that did not happen. This county has 2, maybe 3 different ordinances to deal with internal controls. We have had, we always will have. There's been tons of questions about internal controls, and I'm going to put those to bed right now. We have those ordinances in place. The problem that we've got is the departments aren't enforcing them. We can sign all the ordinances and documentation that you can put in front of us, but if it's not enforced, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. You know, I guess I can call Sam every time an ordinance gets broken and say, get down to the courthouse and deal with this. And I guess if it continues to be this way, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. He'll get tired of hearing from me. But I'm tired of hearing about internal controls when we have them in place and our departments do not enforce them. So at this time, and Jim and I have talked about this, other than Sheila moving forward with Patty's, the previous auditor's letter back to the State Board of Accounts, that Sheila will address this with her staff and it'll be taken care of. Jim, I mean, you and I have talked about this. I don't know where else to go with it.
Well, yeah, this is for the date or time period. According to the corrected plan, this is for a time period between January 1st of 2017 and a time period that concludes on December 31st of 2018. And then they reviewed the plan, according to their notes here, on November 7th of 19. There was a corrective action description and anticipated completion date of October 25th of 2019. So we're talking about events, at least on this paperwork, of over 2 years. I'm not, I'll be quite candid, I'm not 100% sure what the State Board of Accounts is specifically asking for in correction, but at this point, I think they're probably the only response that I would see here is that there'd be just notification from the current auditor's office that these corrections are in place and there are ordinances in place.
And Madam Auditor, I'd like to give you a better answer for this problem, but it was created prior to you taking office. And it looks like now you're kind of obligated to fulfill her. She never did
Right.
commit, so,
I know that there were ordinances, that were implemented. I feel we might need to look at them and add to them. Prior to, you know, what she said that she was gonna do or had done, you know, that's all I have to go on. I feel we need to do a little bit more. I also feel maybe a signature form from all members of staffs of each department. I mean, if they're part of the internal controls for each one of their departments, then I feel there should probably be a signature sheet so that we do have something tracking that says that, yes, that they were informed. But those, we can discuss that and put it on the next agenda if we need to.
I can help you just a little bit here. It is the commissioner's responsibility to establish an internal controls board. That I have already put into motion. It is requested that the commissioners, the council member, and another elected official sit on that board. I have chose those members and I have given that information to Jim, and he will have that in a form for the next commissioners meeting. And at that time, we'll make it available to who those people are. And that board will be active. Due to the situation that the county's in and has been in for quite some time, we're going to make sure that this board does its job. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. I don't know about everybody else, but I've kind of had it up to here with all the stuff that's going on, and it's time to fix it.
The buck stops here.
We're going to start that.
So the request for the corrective action plan that's in here, are we going to let the board be the ones to send that, or how, I mean?
I would say at this time, since the board's not established and we have to make that vote and approval at the next meeting, if you want to go ahead and respond to let them know that you're taking care of it internally. From everything that I read in that email, it basically was about the auditor's office and the training of the deputies. Am I mistaken there? Because that's kind of the way I read it.
In reading through the 2 audit reports, the majority of it was things that were not being done, were being done improperly or not being done properly. So I do feel it is the auditor's ends of things. I can respond with that. Obviously, per the audit reports, things were not being done. I can also respond what I've done since January to current, and that we will provide further updates.
Exactly, and an internal controls board is up and coming. Is there any other comments on that particular matter?
Well, that's basically what I read too, when I got the emails, was auditor was all responding to you, State Board of Accounts, so.
Okay.
Sorry, Sheila.
I mean, I would have to sit with one of you or Jim to say, okay, this is where we're at. And again, all we have to do is look at the actual audit reports to see exactly what is or isn't being done.
Okay.
We're gonna get through this stuff. It's just gonna take time, and it's that simple. But we're gonna get it right because things haven't been done right. Okay, next up, AT&T service contracts. I'm gonna hold this up. Sheila's been in
several different conversations, emailed with AT&T about different phone lines, what we're paying for, what we're not. We found out we've been paying for Owen County Library, which is not part of our county government, as in this part, excuse me. So Jim and I have not been involved in this too much at all. Sheila's pretty much been taking care of it, so Jim hasn't had a chance to go through the contract. I haven't had a chance to go through it. And those things all have to come through us before we go forward. And again, that was some of the problems in the past. These things were just taken care of and away we went. And not anymore. So at this time, I'm gonna make a motion that we table the AT&T contract discussion until Jim gets a chance to review it and we know exactly what it is we're talking about. Do I hear a motion?
I second,
I made the
thought you
motion, I'm
made the
sorry,
motion.
I did.
I second that motion.
And we got a motion by myself, second by Bob, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna hand this, Jim, you want this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass that down to Jim. Okay,
Library, wow.
yeah, and there may be others in there, we don't know, but I think Sheila's went through and checked several of them. And again, if that stuff gets to us before it gets to her or passed on to her, she can do her job instead of dealing with contract issues that's not her responsibility. And it doesn't matter if it's you or whoever's sitting in that seat, I'm just saying there's other things to take care of. Okay, the LEO Economic Development. This is just a quick signature on an agreement. We are in the 8th District section for workforce development. Mr. Brothers was on this board previously, and they have to have a commissioner in this county that has a term still extending through 2023. So I have nominated Bob. Bob has accepted that. So all we need to do now is make a motion for me to sign this form so we can get Bob onto this board. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let me find this thing.
It's in the folder with the tab on it.
Let's see, that's time. Right here it is. Folks, and bear with me, I've got papers that you couldn't imagine here. No,
I don't think we have to give that to him, Sheila.
It's just, you want me to send it?
Yeah,
just email it
Email it
to
to
him.
him. We got it done. Cause he called me and texted me and everything else.
Okay, next on the agenda is onboarding program dismissal. This is a benefit program that the previous auditor took upon herself to do. It's costing us, $650, $700 a month for something that our payroll department is doing and should be doing. So am I correct in understanding that you do want to dismiss this?
In a second thoughts.
Yeah, okay, so I just, do I hear a motion for this?
What it is,
Yeah, it's an onboarding program, and what is the company's, what is it?
what they do, nothing.
Not really. Onboarding benefits, $650 a month. This guy's name's Corey. Something, I've spoke to him on the phone.
Melchi, M-E-L-C.
Corey Melchi. Okay, anyway, at this time, do I hear a motion to dismiss this agreement?
I'll make a motion, we dismiss that.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there a signature anywhere, Sheila, or you're just gonna make the contact?
We just-
Okay. Jim, you got any questions on that? We're good, okay. Next is asset management plan. And this is something that's been discussed in the 2.5 years that I've been here. Apparently, it's never been done, even though it was been told to us that it had been done. Again, every department is responsible, and it is not the responsibility of the auditor to do inventory for every office in this county.
It is the responsibility of the department heads and elected officials to take inventory of their departments. In the highways case, it's equipment, it's roads, several different things. That information needs to be gathered and turned into the auditor's office, so she can then send this to the state as a total package.
Ours is done. It's been done, it's given Commissioner Brothers, so if you don't have it, I did what I was told.
Well, we're gonna redo it. And I appreciate that, Greg, and I know that you've taken inventory, of those things. But again,
Quite a few of them that.
nothing ever got done, okay? It all looked good, but, you know, smoke and mirrors, we all know about them, right? So that's kind of where we were at. So anyway, is there a deadline on this plan to be turned into the State Board of Accounts?
There is, however, they're not taking exception to it if it's not done, because there's a new program that they're having everybody enter them into. I'm gonna get busy, I will send out their form. It is nothing but an Excel spreadsheet with what you have. They give us the formulas, the highway. Actually, everybody was fretting the highways, and they're the easiest ones because they're part of the LTAP program. And if you weren't using it, you wouldn't be getting your grants. So whatever you enter into LTAP is what we have. So thanks for that. The sheriff's department and EMS had good ones that had been turned in, just not entered in the state system. So again, it's a new requirement for the state system, and we've had a couple of companies that wanna charge $5,000–6,000 to do it. I don't feel we need to pay somebody to do it when the department heads, and it's anything that is over $5,000. So it's not like, you know, the roads and the highways and vehicles are kind of your main things in the county buildings. I'll have to work with the assessor's office and those ends of things to pull property information, but I think we can get it done and turned in.
Yeah, it goes from evaluation of value of property, the buildings that your folks are in, to the roads, like I said, anything. We're not counting pencils and papers here, we're counting, you know, large items. Sheila will have those forms, I'm sure she'll either send them out to you via email, or you can come by our office and pick them up. But again, for those of you who've done it in the past, I'm sorry. Let's do it again, and we're gonna get it done right.
Yeah, because I know we did a complete rakes and shovels down to buckets and nails, you know.
Well, I'm gonna assure every department head that's in here that the internal controls board's gonna go and check and make sure that this thing got sent off. So we're not doing it twice. We're gonna do it and be done with it.
So there is a new form coming that we will get.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
We used to have to turn in with the claims if a thing was over $50 or more, that form. Do you still want that form?
It's not required per the state. And there is a county ordinance that it's over, anything over $5,000. Anything under that is just kind of an internal. I don't think it would hurt to have that, because those rakes and shovels and those kinds of things
They
add up.
told us that anything that was below $5,000, like rakes and shovels, we group it together, didn't list it, you know, rake, shovel, whatever, it put a price tag to it.
And that's a good point, and I want that as a commissioner, as a board president, I'm sure these guys do the same. I wanna know how many desks and chairs that we have. I don't want this stuff walking out of these buildings, they belong to the taxpayers. I think it's important. And again, I'm not talking about pens and paper, I'm talking about something that's substantial. That table right there, if it disappears tomorrow, I wanna know that we had it and what happened to it. So, I don't think that's too much to ask. All right. Landfill AECom extension request. Unfortunately, we have not a whole lot of choice on this one. We have a methane gas problem out there exceeding, and this is outside the contract realm. This is the first time this has happened. I think in 2019, we kind of got into this thing again. So this is something that, roughly $6,000, is that right, Jim?
Yeah, this is, what's happened, there's an exceedance at specifically an area called GP5, and there needs to be a follow-through, and this is IBM. It is mandatory. What's required then from AECom is they're going to have to put an additional testing device there, and it's gonna have to be monitored, so it's kind of a two-step process. But you vote obviously with it you wish, but it's gotta be done, and it would really needs to be put on the agenda for the 14th for the county council. There's a $40,000 appropriation for ACOM for testing. They haven't used all of that, but they will in the year, so this is going to exceed the appropriation for the landfill testing in the range of approximately $6,000. So this would be one that you would want that pending the proper appropriation that you are agreeing to have ACOM go ahead and provide this service, and then it can go next week before the county council for the funding.
So I'm gonna ask for a motion for approval of the landfill AECOM extension request, roughly $6,000, with the approval of the county council for the appropriation of the funds. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye. Jump right in.
So if council approves this Monday, because it would be considered an additional appropriation unless they can find it, something that's already there, can we go ahead and have the work done? Because I can't get to the council until July meeting.
No, there'd be two ways. They can approve, and there's still $6,000 out of the landfill testing, so that
Okay.
$6,000 could actually come out of there. So there is ways to do it. They also could just take it directly out of Riverboat or something like that, so it would kind of depend on what they do. But I do think that the work could be done, there's funding available, but the council needs to be aware in July or August, they are going to have to find an appropriation for an additional $6,000.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it has to be done, there's no way around it. Okay, next up, Highway Department, and I think we're buzzing through this pretty good, so,
Well, commissioners, I'm gonna ask you to indulge me just a few minutes, because I wanna take a little bit of your time. There's some things that I think needs to be explained in a public forum. I'm really displeased that this whole room may be out, that citizens aren't gonna stay around long enough to listen to the concerns, but, commissioners, I'm very happy with the three of you that I work for. This is not necessarily directed towards you. It's not directed towards you. Really, it's a totality of the circumstances that we're dealing with right now. My great-grandmother, a businesswoman that I was raised with, had a saying that I think is very appropriate. Sometimes you just have to cut the chicken's head off, son. Well, that's where I'm at right now. That means facing the facts, state the facts as you know them, and let the chips fall where they may. Gentlemen, everything we do is public record. Highway Department hasn't hit a thing. But we're being tried in the court of public opinion on social media, and I even believe amongst our peers that I work with every day. And amongst my peers that I work with every day, that angers me, because those who know me would come to me, and I'll just tell you. I want to start with my vehicle. Since I took over, I've eliminated 7 dump trucks from my fleet, 7. And 5 pieces of equipment that were sitting there that the county paid insurance on that we saved money for. I came to the board. And we had made some replacements, some of those before I got there in regard to papers and Mack trucks. But I have replaced 2 Ford 750s with Ford 750s. I replaced a Mack semi with a Mack semi. I got a service truck from the EMS which after I got it, I spent nearly $15,000 on to equip it, but it was still cheaper than buying a new one. And I took a 94 out of service. I got rid of a 99 Chevy 1500 pickup truck and recently replaced it with a 2011 Jeep SUV. A new pickup truck is about $35,000. We replaced it with that Jeep pickup for $4,900 and some dollars. Now, the commissioners did direct me to contact the sheriff when the sheriff was getting rid of vehicles, which we did. We contacted, we spoke with Chief Deputy Matt Miller. Didn't appear anything at the time that fit our needs, or we were gonna spend more money than that. I will note that vehicle was bought for $1,300 under retail. The dump trucks were purchased, the Kenworth dump trucks were purchased in, I believe, 2018, sometime before I was superintendent. When those were purchased, they had salt and sand beds on them, no speed beds. They set, commissioners, all but about 3 months out of the year. Now, on those 7 trucks that I saved, we took dump trucks and made dump trucks in our own shops. We took the beds off, we took materials off, and we made those work. So what I did was I came before this board and I asked this board, not Bob and Dale, but I asked this board to approve putting new dump truck beds on the Kenworth trucks that were purchased because we weren't using them. Gentlemen, a new Kenworth dump truck is $218,000. We invested $40,000 a truck, trucks that had 40,000 miles on them, and that you originally paid $79,000 on. Those are the facts. Secondly, Ron Equipment. Little bit of explanation. Rachel's here to fact check me because I want to make sure I have it right. In 2019, we purchased 2 new pickup trucks. Those pickup trucks were to be outfitted with snow plows and beds, salt beds. We got those trucks, they were ordered, they came in. One of them was totaled, so it pushed things even out. Ron Equipment is where our vendor that we get our snow plows from. That's 2 snow plows, 2 salt beds. Those ended up being put on in late 20. Now here's where the fact check comes, gentlemen, and you can, Ron Equipment has had 2 problems. Number one, COVID went through their shop and shut it just down. And then some young man, they're right along the main highway, ran through their building with a vehicle and put them basically out of business for reconstruction. So the bill for Ron Equipment came in, instead of in 4 bills, it came in 1 big bill after they called me and said, did you pay this bill? Because they didn't realize because of the situation that they ran into. That was approved the last commissioners meeting. Now the reason I bring that up, social media's got us having a bulldozer that needs welding, etc., because something says something about a blade on that. Now comes to a welder. On a welder, I was contacted at my shop, and I can't tell you who it was, but it came in, actually, Rachel may correct me, it may came in social media about a welder. There's a cart in my shop that doesn't have a welder on. Where's the welder? We bought the welder at such and such time. I called my assistant superintendent and I said, walk out to that service truck right now and take a picture of the welder on the back of it. It's a wire welder, it sits in a bin that plugs in, that's different than a stick welder. It's there. If everybody abided by your inventories, you'd know that we've got everything at that highway department. And if we lose it, which we can, or it comes up missing, we record it. Lastly comes the oil furnace. Waste oil furnace. wanna just explain this, just how I see it. And the whole thing, and I've explained it to the sheriff, I've explained it, I believe, to Jim, then to several members of the public. Earlier this year, I get a brochure from Napa. Now, we have expungent bills in regard to our utilities, and one of the things, and Sheila and I are working on this, but the highway department never saw those. In fact, to this day, I haven't seen them, but she's gonna get them to me. But it's my understanding that I've got $1,000 bill from Community Natural Gas in 1 month, and they usually run just a small fraction of that, so during that, I probably had some type of a major problem, or I paid somebody else's bill. We see this and other things that we do. Anyway, Commissioner Burton and I talked, and he asked me, could I use one? He directed me to the local Napa. Went to the local Napa, and I spoke with Mark Childs down there that day. Dakota was with me. No, I can't order anything off of that because that is ordered from the internet. I can't order that kind of piece from the internet. First of all, it's too much money. Second of all, I wouldn't have I don't even know that the county has a credit card that would handle that. Then it's voted on. Oh, actually, then I called Commissioner Burton and I asked him for advice. And I'm sent a representative, and I did not recall this to start with, but Dakota corrected me, by a kid by the name of Dylan, and he is my representative from there. It's brought before the commissioners. Commissioners looked at it. 2 internet quotes, quote from the bill didn't actually say Napa, but it was from Napa. And they voted to buy the furnace. The furnace is in my shop now. I've not put it up. It'll be installed. Now the next question is, do I produce enough product to run that furnace? Well, it's like this, gentlemen. I've got all that equipment, so I run the gallons and the quarts that those use. In used engine oil, if I change it correctly through the maintenance schedule that you require me to do, I will have used 567.5 gallons of engine oil, used hydraulic oil, 602 gallon.7, used transmission oil, 32 gallons, and used gear oil, 245.5 gallons. Total burnable oil of 1447.7. Now, it says the machine burns, 0.25 gallons of oil an hour. Estimate 160 hours of work in that shop, 480 gallons a month with 4,700 gallons. That would heat the garage somewhere between 3.5 and 4 months out of the year, my winter months. Did it pay for itself? Gentlemen, I would say it probably did, but we are a government entity. If I run low on oil, because I had a proposal, but since we're being tried on this situation with social media and et cetera, I had a plan to take waste oil, to have plenty. I'm sure that would be a good program for the community. We'd probably get too much, but we would have it. Quite frankly, gentlemen, when I know when I'm done, you can either fire me because I'm sure what I said probably has not made a lot of people happy. But if you don't, I will continue to do the same job that I've done for you. I told Jeff Brothers that as long as he did not ask me to do anything illegal or immoral, I would work. I have not. Only thing Jeff Brothers and Gary Burton and Stephen Williamson said to me was, don't steal from us. I have not. So I'm tired of being accused. And quite frankly, it's time we all work together and get ourselves out of the problem that we're in.
Greg, I'm gonna applaud you. I have to. Your department has been scrutinized for the 2.5 years that I've been here, and it's time to stop. If people don't have anything better to do than scrutinize the highway department, then they need to quit their jobs and go somewhere else. It's absolutely pathetic, the problems that this county has, and we're worried about silly, ridiculous things. And if anybody noticed, I wore a Firestone shirt today instead of Napa. So if anybody wants to go out and check, see if the highway's got any Firestone tires on any of their equipment, jump right on it. Because it's a bunch of crap. I'm not gonna take a penny from this county. I bust my butt up here every meeting to try to save this county money and to fix these problems. And this is the crap that the highway department has to go through. And shame on anybody and everybody that was involved in it. And I'm done, Greg.
Oh, excuse me, the
Go right ahead.
last thing that I want to bring up in regard to Napa, and this comes, I have a great working relationship with the guys here. But I have a great working relationship with, and I'm gonna refer to him as a kid, with the kid comes sees me from Bloomington. But they provide a service, they're a vendor that was never made available to me. It's called a ProLink. I could sit right at my desk and I could see what a part cost me. I could see where it's at. I could see how long it's gonna take to get it. It's easier to watch my budgets that way. I'm just not running down and grabbing and going. We have to go where we can get the product and we're best serviced. Now, I still do 90% of my business right here. But enough is enough. Gentlemen, if you wish to continue, the highway department's got a lot of their business to do.
You're continuing, Greg. Absolutely.
Jim, you're kind of on now, but I have the community crossing grant packages put together. Jim has worked hard with on these. He has sat with me and we have been over them. I have approved them, but we need commissioner approval to send those out, to get bids on this year's community crossings. Jim?
Yeah, you have a total of 4 packets. Packet 1 is the bid package. That's for the community crossings grant. These are for Culpers Road, Walden Road, and Steubenville Road. The bid packet contains 11 separate documents. If you approve that, the publication can go out this Friday. And the bid packet itself can be released on June 11th. So June 11th will be the notice, and the bid packet can be released. Second publication, which requires 2, would be on June 25th. That's packet 1. Then you have 3 separate contract packages. Those do not get released yet. Those are for the winning bid for Culvers Road, Walden Road, and Steubenville Road. So upon your approval, we have 1 approval for the bid packet and another approval for the 3 contract packets.
All right, gentlemen, there's a ton of paperwork here. Let me get to the first.
Should look like this one. If you see that, that's the bid package, and that's the cover sheet, and then there should be 11 separate documents after that.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to approve the community crossings bid packet for 2021?
The Carl's, Walden, Stupidville Road, is that the ones we're wanting? Is that the one we're wanting, Greg?
Yes.
I make a motion to that effect for the Colross, Walden, and Steubenville Road Community Crossing Grant.
Second.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
And Commissioner, then the other one will look, this is the contract package, there's one for Steubenville Road, one for Colliers, and one for Walden.
We need to vote on those individually, Jim.
We would vote on those individually, and again, those are not released yet, that's just when the bids come in on July sixth, this paperwork will be completely ready that day for them.
Okay, do I hear a motion for approval of Steubenville, Road?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale, do I hear a second?
I second.
Have a second by Bob, all in favor? Aye. Do I hear a motion for approval of Colross Road?
I make a motion, we approve Colross Road.
I have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And third road is in Bob's district, Walden Road, do I hear approval for Walden Road?
Thought we done, oh, we didn't do Walden.
No, it's the last one. Do I hear a motion for Walden?
I have a motion, we do Walden Road.
Okay, have a motion by Bob for Walden, do I hear a second? Have a second by Dale, all in favor? Aye. All right, Greg, that should have you covered there.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Gentlemen, I'd like permission, now to have Jim work on, putting out a bid to Steubenville Road is being paved from, Keith Road to Arnie. The rest of the road, in order to split the monies up in the districts correctly, we were unable to do that. The roads in the other districts will be completed in their entirety. Gentlemen, I would ask that we be allowed to put out a bid for the remainder of Steubenville Road, with a clause pending that we would have enough funds to do that after we get bids. But now would be the perfect time. If we were going to, it would be cheaper because whoever gets the contract would already be there. And we may not be able to do it, but.
That's out to 246, finishing it, correct?
But I'm asking for permission to put them out to see if we can.
Can you give me the mileage on that, Greg?
1.8 miles.
Okay.
So you're gonna do Colross, Walden, try to do Steubenville last, and that way in case we got money left over, we can go ahead with it. Is that your order?
Yes,
Or somewhere in there?
that is correct.
You're gonna do Steubenville last.
It is.
And also, depending on his funding, we may have money in-house that we can add to that to finish that up.
That is correct.
Yeah. I'll make that motion that we approve to let those out, to bid that last section, of Steubenville. Is there a cutoff point, Greg? Where's it start and it goes to 246?
Starts from Keith, ends at 246.
Okay, from Keith to 246. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
We have enough funds.
Yeah.
Is that
If
what-
we have enough funds, yeah, let me get that in there, Bob, I'm sorry, yeah. Depending on our funds,
Yeah.
yeah. But we can still put it out for bid regardless, we just don't have to accept the bid once it comes in.
Right.
That would be, I can have that ready for the June 21st meeting.
Okay, Jim,
So
thank you.
I have to prepare the packet separate for it.
Correct.
So I can bring that back on the 21st.
So do we actually need a motion for this?
Well, you're approving just that I go ahead and.
Okay,
and
put it together, yeah.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I had a first and a second there. Am I correct? First by Bob, second by Dale. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Do we have any idea what that 1.8 mile might cost? Well, I know a lot of people I like to see the whole thing done, so it's in bad shape. I'm not gonna speak for Greg. Greg can do it, probably 125,000, I'm guessing, but.
You know, if it's real hard, isn't it, because the way prices are? If the prices hold from the original quotes, it'll cost me $73,000 a mile, which is cheap.
It's cheaper than it's been 2 or 3 years.
It's been a long time, now that's the spending we won't see until these next come through or not. But if it stays at that, then we need to find it somewhere.
That'd be great, because if anybody been out on that road, it needs done, I mean, like bad, we want it to,
Okay, okay, gentlemen, I have, out on Steubenville Road, because we're preparing that for community crossings, have an old railroad car pipe. The old railroad car pipe, for lack of a better term, we wallered it up out of the ground with a backhoe. We don't have anything that we can pick it up with. Last time I had somebody come out, with a rotator and pick one up, cost me $1,300. I have sold them at, auction. One of them brought, I believe,
One brought $500 at the loss.
one brought 500 at the lot, the other one brought 2,000. I'm gonna have to have somebody come out and pick it up, put it on the truck. I have the farmer where we're at, Matt Bixler, that will pick it up right there on the spot and take it.
You'll just take it?
Yep, he'll load it and take it.
You know,
Can that be done?
What would be the value of it, that's?
I would say anywhere from $500 to $2,000,
And,
but it's gonna cost me probably $1,300 to move.
no, it wouldn't be considered worthless property, so no, it just can't be given away, no. That would not be.
Well, let me ask you this, what if they're willing to pay scrap price and scale it? Because it's gonna take somebody with a machine to pick it up.
Again, worthless means that basically has absolutely no value, whatsoever. It doesn't sound like that this falls in that category.
All right, well then commissioners, I'm gonna have to hire a rotator to pick it up and haul it to the junkyard.
Let me throw one more thing out there at you, Greg. Why don't you try calling Bloomington Iron and Metal and JB Salvage? I know that they will come out to site and cut that thing up and load it on one of their trucks.
But it's sitting on the farmer's property.
I got that, but let's see if we can get them out there
I can do
and
that.
get a quote from both of them. And then we can make a decision. But unfortunately, yes, we need to get this off this individual's property, as soon as possible.
Okay.
But if you could call those two today, we gotta have another avenue here, it looks
I
like.
will bring it to you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
could you not do like we did the vehicles, could you not put it on that?
We can do that, we could do it.
Maybe if the farmer wanted to bid on it, in case he wanted, then, I mean,
If that's the case, we need to deem that scrap.
No, I think the problem here, gentlemen, let's just, if we're gonna sell it, we know how long that takes, we just need to move it. I don't have a problem moving it, I just want you to be aware that it's gonna cost me to move it, and I told him I'd ask.
Right.
Because the plan was to pay to have it moved all day long anyway.
If we could get it cut up and disposed of on site without having to haul away, that'd save us some money. Just an option.
Sure.
Again, we don't wanna get our hands spanked for
Oh, no,
doing
that's the
something
reason I
wrong.
brought it before the commissioners.
So Jim, I'm gonna ask you before we move forward on that topic, if we get a couple of companies to go out and bid on cutting it up on site and hauling it off, we take in this case, we would want the highest bid.
That's a different thing. I need to kind of review, because this.
Now, I'm gonna have to ask the old farmer if I can cut it up on the site.
Exactly, so
Because
let's
he let
do a
me
little
put
research.
it there.
Yeah. No matter what, it's our responsibility to get it out of there.
Pipe they took out of the road.
Oh. Bill, can you use that for a bridge somewhere? I'm just kidding.
Well, someone already hit me up on the way into the courthouse this morning about using railroad cars.
Kind of thing of the past, isn't it?
They got to be awful expensive to buy them. You can put in, almost put in new beams for what they want for the railroad cars.
All right, Greg.
Okay, gentlemen, I wanna thank you all for meeting with me at the shop and going over the proposed 2022 roads to put on community crossings grant and ask for funds. That being said, I have a July 6th deadline for my road projects for 2022. So I would ask, after meeting with the commissioners, Commissioner Curry chose Concord Road and a short section of Johnson, if I'm correct. Commissioner Burton chose Fiddler Road, and Commissioner DuBois chose Splinter Ridge Road. Gentlemen, I would ask you to approve these for me to put into my road plan for 2022 and allow me to apply for community crossings monies for those.
I'll ask for a motion for approval of, for 2022 community crossings of Concord, section of Jones,
No, a section of.
Johnson, I'm sorry.
No, excuse me, Sherfield.
Yeah,
Sherfield.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that Sherfield's a little short.
Concord, Sherfield in Bob's district, Splinter Ridge in Dale's district,
Yes,
and Fiddler in my district.
correct.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Next, a little preface, gentlemen, at the next county council meeting, I'm going to ask that, monies be moved out of my 1135 account into, which is my bridge fund, into community crossings to fund the Kelly Road Bridge. Our monies our monies are in, I believe, 94,280 on the grant. Because things went up, we're going to have to, ante up a little more, but I'm going to move $111,377.35 into a community crossing account to pay, CLR on completion of the bridge. No, excuse me, that's what's left. There's $372,809.42 in there now. Once I move the community crossing money, I'll have $111,377.35. Expecting another influx into that account, sometime in December. And also some reimbursements from NDOT to the tune of about $40,000, anytime. That being said, gentlemen, I know we don't have a whole lot of money, but banking on the next deposit and maybe a winter build, we would have to discuss that, but I have a set of plans for the bridge located on Wasatch Lake Road over King Creek.
Bridge number
44.
44.
I also have a set of plans for bridge number 116, located on Franklin Road over a branch of Raccoon Creek. Unfortunately, gentlemen, I don't believe I have enough money to build 2 bridges, but I believe at the end of the year I'll have enough money to build build 1. We have passed over the bridge on Wasatch Lake Road now 2 years in a row. I will ask that you allow me to bid Bridge 44 as quick as we can get the documents together.
I'm all in favor of that because we're way behind on our bridge building.
If there's any way, I would like to build 2, but I don't see the funds, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Bill.
I talked to Chad about these 2 bridges, and he said anytime, if we can get both of them bid out, and if we're lucky to get both of them, we can hold off on the pay for next year. And the way concrete and steel is going up and guardrail is going up, it could save you, the county, money right now if it gets everything ordered for the bridges.
And I don't think I'm out of turn on this, and these are my own figures. Phil might be able to tell me for sure, but I believe that steel is up almost 66% now compared to what it was this time. Bill, is that correct, or is it even higher now?
It's went up again, so. And that's since December of 20, went up almost 70%.
Well, I was gonna suggest that we go ahead and quote both of, or put both of these out for bid. Obviously, we don't have to approve both of them if we've got enough funds for one. But if we can, somehow make arrangements down the road to do both of them, we've done that in the past. So, I'd like to put in a motion that we let Greg go ahead and bid both of these bridges, determining on the amount coming back in and the funds available. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll take it.
And that's for Bridge 44 and 116. I have a motion by myself, I have a second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. It doesn't hurt to test the waters and see what it's gonna cost us, there's no charge for that.
All right, Jim, the last thing I see is you have, annual wheel tax collection and excise ordinance status on the agenda.
That's from the county council. There's a paper from the state, just wanted to make sure that the county still wanted to continue. Councilman Neff had responded, the council has not made any changes. So it'll be important that on what it says county municipal excise wheel tax from the auditor's office, that 1, 2, column 3, or checkbox 3, this county municipal does currently impose a county municipal excise and wheel tax, but there's been no changes to it in the past 12 months. And then also, they need a verification that the county does have a transport asset management plan, a TAMP plan. And
We do. We wouldn't be eligible for any of these grants if we didn't have one.
And you have a copy, would you have a copy of that plan?
I do.
Okay, so it would be, the box would be checked then, that does currently have a county excise and wheel tax, and the county municipally does currently have a TAP approved by NDOT, and they need the letter, copy of the letter of NDOT's approval of the TAM plan. But both of those, and then that would go out, and that would continue for the next year.
Jim, could you give us a breakdown of the distribution of those funds? Do you have that for that wheel tax and vehicle excise? I know that there's a breakdown on where it goes, but.
As far as here on each one of those
Yeah.
rates, I do not have that.
Okay.
No, I do not.
Not a problem. Go ahead, Greg, moving
Okay,
forward.
lastly, gentlemen, then I will leave you alone unless Dakota or Rachel have anything. I had so much to say today, I brought them with me just in case I forget something. But, our annual report was completed. Thank you, Rachel. We do have an up-to-date asset management plan. If you looked on NDOT's site before, we have recorded 632 miles of road for an extended period of time. Now that you have an updated plan into NDOT, the roads have been properly measured, and what the commission has added in subdivisions, we now have 712 miles of county road.
And that's a lot of road.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Great.
Great. You need to discuss Kelly Road Bridge.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Kelly Road Bridge has been started. They started last Tuesday.
Outstanding.
It has, the demo is done and they are waiting on bridge beams.
2 years, finally. Outstanding.
There's one other thing, last time, I get a lot of calls, people wanting dust oil, and he knows how much it costs a square yard, and, we need to make it okay for him to do this.
Yeah, and you're right, Dale, I get a lot of those calls too, and Greg sends them to me, and I'm sure he's doing the same thing with you, and we've kind of had an agreement that if it's in your district and you want him to send somebody out there to spray that, I like to use a medical situation, if they've got asthma, CPD, whatever it might be, because otherwise, we're out there just coating every road in the county. So I like for them to explain to me why they want it, just because they don't want dust on their windows.
Yeah,
They live on a gravel road, they should expect that kind of stuff.
The only other thing, gentlemen, we could do, and it, again, it's like we do culverts. We put those in at cost and driveways when we can. I will tell you that we are on hold right now. I'm not putting any more culverts in until we get the community crossing roads done. As soon as those are done, we'll go right back to working. But we've got so much to do with those in regard to pipes and ditches that's our main focus right now. But I guess where I was getting to that, I know Clay County charges so many feet in front of a house, this is what it costs you. I know that we've stayed away from that.
I'm all for it if we can collect the money. The last report that you give me, we had 60,000 on the books for culvert pipes that nobody's paid for from putting them in people's driveways. Is that still correct?
Well, and let me kind of correct that a little bit. Yes, that is correct, but if you come to my office and you have an existing driveway, then we don't put it in until you pay me for it. But by ordinance, now by order of the commissioners, if I'm building a new road, every driveway gets a new culvert. In all the new roads, community crossings, the ones that we've built, we have collected from 4 people. We have over $60,000 out in pipes that citizens don't pay for, they don't. So all I can do is build them. I mean, Jim and I.
It's saving our roads, Greg, I understand that, but shame on our citizens for not paying for that pipe, because if the first thing that happens, if it wasn't there, it'd wash out in front of their driveway and they'd be the first ones to call and complain. Maybe I'm being too vocal, but that's just the way I feel about it. We got $60,000 of their taxpayer money on our books.
Yes.
And we're trying to provide them a better road. So, Jim, what's our repercussion here as far as trying to collect that money?
Individual suits on each one. I mean, as the points were made, if you don't put the culverts in and you don't run, then the road washes away. And I think that was the whole argument. It is in there, but if this would be an individual collection suit per homeowner.
Well, at that kind of number, it's something that we need to start looking at. I mean, $60,000 buys another pickup truck or whatever it is, you know, culvert pipe.
Put it on their taxes.
Yeah, I wish we could. I don't think we can. We talked about that before.
It's gonna be this would be the collection of a ordinance violation.
So I guess getting back to now is if we put oil in front of your house, you come pay for it first. We wouldn't put it down, and I would take so many orders.
Per road.
If I knew I had a tanker load, I could go apply it. If I don't get a tanker load, then I don't apply it.
Well, I tell you what you need to do then is, like Dale said, you've got that breakdown. Make sure each one of us commissioners know what that is, and we'll explain to these people when they call us, if they want that done, they need to get fellow taxpayers on their road to come on, and if they want to come into your department and pay for it, we'll be happy to do it.
That'd probably have to be done by ordinance, would it, Jim?
That'd be another one. So you want an ordinance where you're wanting them to pay prior to the depositing of the bill.
We're talking about the
Dust control.
My suggestion would be, if we're far enough in the season now, gentlemen, if we're going to do that, I would continue with the same process, but I would.
Something we need to look at for next year. Yeah, I agree.
Give me a chance to gather the information from both Clay and Greene counties. I know they do that.
Jim, you got enough on your plate. Let's pass that one on down the road here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate all you guys.
Anything you guys need to sign for the bid notice itself before it's advertised? Is there anything in this packet
that notice is in there, and that's,
The notice to the bidders, there's not a,
there'd be no signature
okay.
for that, but that's the notice that would need to be published.
And we've already approved it to go to the advertisement for the, okay. All right, Sheriff Department.
The one we've got here will be coming to your next meeting, RKW Garmon, to present the final stats about the jail.
Okay, 911 dispatch.
Good morning, good afternoon, whichever one you wanna call it.
We're gonna get out of here before 12.
Well, let's hope. So you guys should have received a quote from HiCom. Just a little bit of some back history on this. This is something that I've kind of been working on for a while, is removing all equipment that affects the 911 center, removing it and detaching us from the jail and actually putting it upstairs in my server room. So there was a couple different options that Derek with HiCom said that we would be able to do. It was, this again, involves the phone system. So it would be moving the entire phone equipment out of the jail and relocating it up into the communication center. That would put us a downtime of, he said, at least 4 to 6 hours, where our administrative lines would not work at the jail, the sheriff's administration, or the 911 center. The best option, which is what you guys have the quote in front of you for, is actually creating a new phone system within the 911, at the 911 center. So it would be removing our administrative lines away from the current infrastructure that's at the jail. With that, and I talked with Sheriff Hobbs, what we would be doing is, we would be taking those phone numbers over to the communications center. So 4874, the 812-829, 4874 would no longer be a phone tree option. It would be a direct dial into the dispatch center. So that would no longer be the sheriff's department's phone number. So he would be assigned a new local phone number that would be, we would have to do a bunch of publication, get it out to the citizens, letting them know the new number at that time. With this option, we then only have a downtime of maybe an hour, and that would just be phone company turning our service on and transferring that phone.
All the work would be done prior to, and then just flipping a switch at that point. And
correct. So what this is gonna do, again, like I said, anytime anybody would dial the 4874 number, there would no longer be any phone prompts. It would just dial directly into the dispatch center, so they would be getting a live person. They wouldn't have to listen through a phone tree. They did quote this to us at $3,702.07, but they do have in here in one of their notes that if they have to do patch cables, any ending, all of that kind of stuff, it could potentially go up to but not exceed $200. So the most we're looking at is $3,902.07. This is something that I do have available in my cash balance, so I would not be asking for any additional money from the county to pay for it. It would be out of my 1235 fund.
you need your own system.
And yes, we need our own system, because the main reason is, I'm sure everybody is aware, on May 28th, the Friday of Memorial Weekend, AT&T had a severe outage in Owen County, and that affected the 911 center, and we did not have administrative phone lines for 7 hours. Now, that is due to the link from the jail to the communication center. When AT&T went down, we lost our stuff. So I could still call, because I was testing the phone line, I could still call and reach somebody at the jail, but whenever we pushed the option to get to dispatch, it just died on us. So it was the link between the jail and the communication center. I have reached out to IT, asked them about it, they said they're looking into it. HiCom has also looked into it as well. At this point, we don't know why it went down and why it didn't work, but if this is in place, that would not be an issue.
Well, I'm gonna make the motion to approve the HiCom quote for a new phone system for the 911 center. I hear a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Dale, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Bob, all in favor? Aye. Hopefully this eliminates some of your problems moving down the road.
Yeah. So I also additionally, with just some phone information, I did get the approval, I believe it was on Friday, from InDigital, which they're the ones that provide, AT&T provides the phone lines, InDigital then converts it to use it at our 911 consoles. So I can now contact AT&T to put in camera trunks, it's our 911 lines at our new facility. So as soon as AT&T can come out and do that, and then InDigital can hook everything up, and then HiCom does this work, we will no longer have any more equipment over at the jail. So, and then that'll free up a bunch of space in the jail's telco room to be able to remove all of that equipment. So I am going to be doing that this afternoon, is ordering that, and then it's just whenever AT&T can come out and do that.
No, I'm all for it. I'm not quite sure why we didn't do this to begin with. When we were building a new facility, it would have been a lot smarter. Obviously, I wasn't involved in that at that time, so I can't help you there, but.
Well, one of the issues that we had is that we still have, when AT&T went down, it didn't go down to the jail.
Yeah.
There was a link broke somewhere, I'm not that kind of guy. Anyway, we're gonna have to do this, would eliminate 911.
We got this problem all over the county. We got Donna's across the street. We're gonna fix that here in just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you call these companies and it's like, well, it's not us, it's them, and they all want to pass the buck. We don't care about that. We just want to fix the problem. Yeah. So we're gonna figure out how to do that, and we don't have to worry about them giving us excuses anymore. Yeah.
So, also just wanna give you guys a heads up, I've been working with Jim, I will have an MOU in front of you guys at your next meeting for Eastern Heights. That is to do our radio project, to build a new tower for our VHF fire radio, so we can get that all done. You guys approved that with,
It's been a couple months ago.
yeah, it's been a while back with J&K, so I have not submitted that, signed paperwork to J&K yet, because I don't want them to order equipment, and then for some reason Eastern Heights says, no, you can't use our water tower to build a new tower, a radio tower, so, as soon as we get approval from you guys with the MOU, we get that over to Eastern Heights, then I'll have J&K order equipment, and then try to get stuff installed. So it is like everything else, it might not be done until possibly September or October, when J&K can get the equipment in, because there's a backup of everything, and microchips and all of that kind of stuff. So as soon as I can get that order into them, they will get that stuff purchased, and then hopefully we'll get this radio project finished by this fall.
So we're waiting on Eastern Heights at this point for approval to move forward, okay?
Yeah, well, we'll bring the final MOU to you guys to approve it, and then Eastern Heights to say yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elected officials and department heads. Chris, you have anything today? Donna?
It's just our internet. It's the health department, Jack and us. It'll go out probably daily, sometimes once or twice, up to like 4 or 5 times. It'll be out less than 10 minutes each time, but you're just cut totally off of what you're doing. If you're in a Zoom meeting, you're just cut off. If you're on whatever you try to do on the internet, it's not safe, it's cut off, so it's.
I had that on my list of discussions this morning. You beat me to it. We're gonna address that right now, if that's okay with you.
Yes, did try to amend a grant to add to cover it, and they said no.
Here's what I'm gonna suggest, and then we can discuss it. It's $650 a month. We have been running with a Wi-Fi signal off the courthouse across the street to run these 3 offices, which unfortunately is not a good situation, but it's all we had to deal with for many years. Smithville now has fiber to the Thai restaurant. It's where it stops. Smithville will run that down to our 3 offices at no cost to run that cable down, but it's $650 a month divided by the 3 offices, okay? So I would like to approve that we go ahead and do this. we're gonna have to come up with some funding, it's gonna have to be added to budgets. Come budget time, they're gonna need a little extra money in their budget to cover these expenses.
On board, just give up 600.
Yeah, and a very good point, Sheila, we just eliminated $650 for this onboard benefit company that will pay for that. So we take that $650 that was coming out of general fund and divide that by 3 into your budget. So, you might wanna figure that into your budget, and we'll make sure Verl's here. I'm sorry, Polly, she's here.
And we'll look for grants too that can help with it, but.
Go ahead, Verl.
I wanted to mention something. I don't know whether any, I know Dale and Bob wasn't there, but community grants give us next year again. The council give you money to run them test tubes on all these roads for the traffic count. Freeman Road has by far the most count on the thing. And obviously you're not going with the road count on your grant things. And I think that you really need to think about the roads that use the most first. But, I mean, you're the commissioners, but I know that's what the council done to begin with, was okay that, because we do think where we're spending the money, we need to, where the people, help the most people at a time.
That road has been discussed so many times, and I agree. It needs to be redone. It should have already been done.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. I'm gonna give you just a little bit of saving here, hopefully, with our American Rescue funds coming in, and it's gonna just get banked for a while until we figure out what our options are. But I've heard several different scenarios of how we can use that money, how the calculations, and I know Jim has as well. We've stayed in touch on that. But the highway department lost roughly $600,000 in funding during the COVID year. That would be more than enough if we use that money, and we might be able to use more of it yet this year to do those kind of projects. So it's not out of the question that it still couldn't be done.
Well, I appreciate them, they're fixing that road up Steubenville, them pipes and stuff, I'm for that 100%. When you fix them roads, fix the ditches, keep the water out of it, and they're doing a good job that way. I'm not saying that, but I think we need to kind of concentrate on the roads that use the most in the county.
And if I'm not mistaken, that has got more traffic on it than County Line, if I'm not mistaken, that was the rate, so, yeah. No, I agree with you, Pearl. So hopefully we can get some of this other funding that way. So anyway, Donna, I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the additional $650 a month. We can take it to the council at that point, let them figure out for the remainder of this year, but obviously if we stop this contract this month, that money would be available by next month. So that's gonna be in my motion that we approve for Smithville Telephone to install internet, fiber, phone, whatever it is that we need down there. It's $650 a month for the 3 offices, EMA, health, and probation.
What about the Veterans Office?
They're in a separate, they're separate from that. The different building.
Yeah, I know.
As far as I know, I've not heard any problems down there with the phone, Veterans Office.
He was out.
He was out too?
Yes.
Okay, well, we may have to look at that as an option. Again, I'm aware of Donna's and the health department because I'm involved in those emails. If the veterans is having problems, he needs to let us know. We can't fix things if we're not hearing about it, so.
I just asked there in the extension office that they are responsibility too.
They're totally separate.
Extension separate, okay.
Okay, so, do I hear a motion to approve? Dale's gonna make the motion to approve $650 for internet and phone service for the EMA, health department, and probation, pending on funding from the council. And my recommendation is based on Sheila's recommendation, is that we use the online benefit money at $650 a month to pay for this. And that contract will be terminated as of the end of this month. So I've got a motion by Dale, do I hear a second? Got a second by Bob. And Sheila, I know that was a mess there, but at least I think we got it all. All in favor? Aye. 3-0. Okay. Sam didn't have anything. Burl, you got anything? Polly, you have anything? Okay. Employee timesheet approval. Sheila, I'm gonna tell you this. You're the auditor and you can pick whatever timesheet that you want to pick. You send it out to the departments and that's what we will use until we get an electronic time system that cannot be manipulated. Regardless what type of timesheet we put out that's handwritten can be manipulated. So I don't care if you write down you come in at 8 and left at 12 for lunch and come back at 1 and come back at 3 or 4 or whatever. None of that matters because if you're not being honest, doesn't make any difference. So we'll use whatever timesheet you want to use that's best for your office. And not that we need a vote on that because I don't think we do. I think it's your preference.
In exchange with Jim and department heads and stuff, we do have one from the sheriff's department, EMS, 911, and probation. And the sheriff's department would be the one for all others. I do have to get them approved through State Board of Accounts. We had submitted to them these, and actually these are already being used currently. There were a couple of minor adjustments on them, so I don't think there's a problem with State Board of Accounts, but I still want to submit them, so.
So once you get that done, you get their approval, all I'm gonna ask is you come back to a meeting and whatever that approval is and say, this is the timesheet that we're using. That way, internal control board knows, the departments know, and we're all on the same page. We are still working on a electronic timekeeping system. I know that Sheila and the treasurer, I'm assuming, has worked with Lau to put together their time management prices and fees, and we can get that considerably cheaper. I've got a couple of companies that are looking into what it costs per employee and what is available, and that's something that we've got until budget time or even the end of the year to get figured out. But I want to promise everybody we are going to have an electronic timekeeping system between now and the end of this year. We've got to get this under control. And it's going to take the support of the council, the commissioners, to get this done. But it's something that is way overdue. So anyway, we're still working on that. I've got a couple of people looking into some different options. There's individual software out there, so we'll see what we come up with. Okay, Jim, personnel policies.
We've got 2 personnel policies. Each one of these are just 1 page. Personnel policy number 401 is timekeeping. This is the paper timekeeping. So Owen County Board of Commissioners, Owen County Personnel Policies, 401 timekeeping. The original effective date was 9/19/2005. The revision date will be today's date, if so passed, for June 7, 2021. Okay, federal and state laws require Owen County, Indiana to keep accurate record of time worked in order to calculate an employee's pay or benefits. Time worked is all time actually spent on the job performing assigned duties. Extended periods of time spent in the office but on personal matters shall not be counted as time worked. Pursuant to Indiana Code 51194, all public sector employees must maintain records showing which hours they worked each day by officers or employees. These records are subject to audit by the State Board of Accounts. Time worked is for the time actually spent on the job performing assigned duties. Pursuant to Indiana Code 51192, the State Board of Accounts will approve all prescribed forms. Non-exempt employees should accurately record the time they begin and end their work, as well as the beginning and ending of each meal period. Time in, lunch, back in, clock out. Each employee will record the beginning and ending time of each split shift or departure for work for personal reasons. Employees should not round up or round down their time. For example, an employee arrives at work at 8:05 should not report an arrival time of 8 o'clock. An employee's failure to submit accurate time records according to this schedule may result in an employee's failure to receive a paycheck for the time period in question. The employee's paycheck will be held until accurate time records, which verify the employee's attendance and hours worked during the time period in each question are submitted by the employee. Overtime work must be approved before it is performed. Overtime work must be approved before it's performed. Elected officials and department heads and their designee must approve all overtime work before it is performed by the employee. Tampering, altering, falsifying time records, recording time on another employee's timesheet shall result in disciplinary action, up to and including the termination of employment. It is the employee's responsibility to sign his or her time card and to certify the accuracy of all time recorded. The elected official, department head, will review the time records before submitting the record for payroll processing. If corrections or modifications are made to the time record, the employee should verify the accuracy of the changes by signing the time record. Should an employee fail to sign such a time record, the record will be submitted by the elected official, department head, or designee with an acknowledgement the employee has reviewed the modification. All elected department heads shall be required to complete for each employee under the General Supervisory Payroll Form 99A, the employee service record. This form contains each hour's work for the preceding year, and it must be submitted to the auditor each year by February 1st. The auditor's office has established mandatory employee work period time record forms, which must be used by all non-exempt employees. These forms are available at the Owen County Auditor's Office and are required to be used by all non-exempt Owen County employees. Passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County, State of Indiana, in a regular meeting held on the 7th day of June, 2021. Gary Burton, President, Robert Curry, Vice President, Delta Boys Commissioner, attested by Sheila Reeves, Auditor.
All right, gentlemen, get any questions on personnel policy number 401, timekeeping? That being said, do I hear a motion to approve policy 401?
I made the motion, we approve policy 401.
I'll second it.
Timekeeping.
I have a motion by Bob, seconded by Dale. All in favor? Aye.
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 Sheila, I would recommend that you get these out to the departments as soon as possible.
I will also send out the timesheets because it says in here as well as the Form 99As. It's my understanding that in the last couple of years that they were told that they were not necessary to keep and or to turn into the auditor's office. Therefore, people haven't used them and or haven't had them. We will have to order some, but we can make copies of what we have to get distributed as well. So again, obviously, we've passed the February 1st for this year, so we'll hope to, but I will still, when I send it, if anybody has kept them, we'll go ahead and ask if they submit them for this last year if they have them.
And obviously, it's required by the state, and again, something we weren't doing. Go ahead, Chris.
I've got those electronically, talking about the yellow timesheets.
Yeah.
Or the yellow, I've got those electronically, can we try to forward that?
Sure.
Yeah, email's fine, long as yeah.
I'm not, it's on software, I'm not sure how.
And again, as Sheila said, February 1st already passed, so if you don't have them, department heads, don't worry about it this time. It's something that we'll take care of starting next year.
I'm kind of curious, just because things haven't been done in the past every year, normally by the 3rd or 4th day of the year, I submit those yellow forms and also submit my inventory card. Is Owen County EMS this stuff up to date or not? I mean, it's been submitted.
I would have to look specifically in a file. I mean, if you've turned it in, it's down there somewhere. And there have been a few departments that have turned them in. There's been several we found out in the last couple of weeks that they've not been using them, let alone turning them in. So, but I can check and let you know.
I'm gonna make a quick comment on that point before you move forward, Jim. Folks, if we don't stop these bleeding issues that this county has, the state's gonna send somebody down here and run this county for us. It's that simple. We're that close. And if you think I'm kidding, I'm not. We've got to get these things corrected. We got to do things the right way. I don't care if people don't like it. You know, the good old days, those don't work. That's what got us here. So I just want to make that point that all these things keep coming up, but I'm serious. The state's going to come down here and run our county, and all of us will have no say in anything. So all we got to do is do it right, and we don't have that problem. So just a quick statement, the facts.
Just a quick thing on that, since I'm one of the newer department heads. If you could create a list or come up with something that is, as you're coming into one of these positions of things that a department head needs to make sure they're doing, like make sure they turn in an inventory list, make sure we have these 99A forms, all of that kind of stuff, because like none of that stuff was ever referred to me that I had to do some of these things. Or like I talked to Chris, I went to his office and he's like, hey, you should be doing this and you should do this. And then whenever I reached out to previous auditor, they're like, no, don't worry about it, you don't need to do it.
And I apologize for that.
But like there kind of needs to be something for new people.
Could we put together some sort of
Department head package or.
Like a new hire orientation type thing.
a group together to create that?
Yeah.
To create that list of things.
And I think Jim's where we need to probably start with that, because there are statutes and codes that require these things. You've all heard us all say, every time we open up a door, we find new problems. And this is just one of those problems. Again, it's easier to do things right the first time than it is to fix this mess after it's built up. Go ahead, Donna.
And can you almost have an annual meeting or semi-annual meeting with each department heads and kind of go through, this is what you know, blah, 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 so that we know that you got it too.
Right.
And if you're having a problem with us, because a lot of times we keep hearing department heads, and I'm thinking, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I keep hearing department heads.
It's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's just that we're never doing it right, if that makes any sense. I don't think anybody's trying to fight the system, it's just the system was broken.
One of the problems that you have, and I don't care if everybody's told or not, it makes a difference to me, right's right, wrong's wrong. It's not every department.
Right.
Right.
There's a group of people, and at the end of the day, and this is for me, at the end of the day, every decision that's made in the sheriff's department falls on my shoulders. I don't care whether I'm making a decision or my cook is making a decision. At the end of the day, so the department heads need to figure out that they're responsible for their employees. And if you got one that's out of tune, get him in tune, or whatever the case may be. Because when it boils down to it, like Gary said, everybody's pointing fingers at everybody. Well, unfortunately, the elected officials and the department heads, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. I mean, I hate to say that, but.
No, Sam, you're right. It's exactly right. That's what I've been trying to say all morning. We've got to take responsibility for this stuff, and I don't care if it's somebody coming in 5 minutes late and we're writing them down at 8 o'clock. Well, you're lying. Don't do it. It's not the way it's supposed to be. And that's why we have $500,000 on our books in comp time, vacation time. That's not even part of our other debt. People don't know these things. It drives me crazy. I mean, all that money's not mine, but I sure feel like it is, because I'm up here having to deal with it. So anyway, Jim, go ahead.
This is 507, this is overtime. Owen County Board of Commissioners, Owen County Personnel Policies, 507 overtime. The effective date on this was 9/19/2005. It was revised on July 1st of 2010, and this will be a second revision for June 7th of 2021. It's 1 page in length. Each employee is designated as an exempt or non-exempt for federal and state wage and hour laws. Exempt employees are excluded from specific overtime provisions of federal and state law. Exempt employees are not entitled to overtime compensation or compensatory time off. Non-exempt employees are entitled to overtime compensation and compensatory time off under the specific provisions of federal and state law. When operating requirements or other needs cannot be made during regular working hours, employees may be scheduled to work overtime hours. Overtime work must be approved by the elected official and department head or their designee before it's performed, and such permission must be documented in a manner approved by the elected official or department head. All overtime work must receive the elected official department head's prior authorization. Employees who work overtime without receiving prior authorization from the elected official or department head may be subject to disciplinary action up to including termination of employment. Non-exempt employees working in excess of 40 hours in a week shall receive compensatory time off in accordance to FLSA at a rate of 1.5 hours per hour worked. Overtime compensation in the form of overtime pay at the rate of 1.5 times of employees' hourly wages will be approved for work in excess of 40 hours in a week work. It shall only be allowed if the following two conditions are met. 1, the overtime was authorized in advance by the elected official and department head, and 2, the funds are available and if necessary were appropriated by the Owen County Council. Calculated overtime is based on actual hours worked. Time off for compensatory leave, bereavement leave, sick leave, vacation leave, personal leave, or emergency closings will not be considered as hours worked for the purposes of calculating overtime. Time off for a holiday will be considered hours worked for the purposes of calculating overtime. Any leaves of absence will not be considered hours worked for the purposes of performing overtime calculations. Specifically, June 1, 2021 to December 31, 2021. Due to budgetary constraints, the Owen County Board of Commissioners strongly encourage elected officials and departments to limit and if possible eliminate overtime for the time period of June 1st, 2021 to December 31st of 2021. Overtime compensation must be appropriated by the Owen County Council, and additional appropriations for the final 7 months of 2021 may not be approved. Elected officials should review their 2021 approved budgets for their allotted overtime, and they must plan accordingly. This will be passed and adopted by the Board of Commissioners of Owen County, State of Indiana, on a regular meeting held on the 7th day of June of 2021. Owen County Board of Commissioners, Greg Wood, President, Robert Terry, Vice President, Del Du Bois, Commissioner, attested by Sheila Reeves, the Auditor.
All right. Obviously, the change there is the budgetary issues, as everybody sees there at the bottom. Kind of got that tied up for the time being with the hiring freeze. So, okay. Do I hear a motion to approve policy number 507, overtime?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Dale. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Gary, on number 6, the 506 comp time, I need to, it's gonna be very important what occurs on the June 14th county council as far as that, but I would anticipate having a comp policy for the 21st meeting.
Okay.
Based on the 14th.
Sounds good, Jim. Thank you. Okay, attorney comments, anything else?
Nothing else? Another thing.
Sheila? We've got this one here.
The Common School Fund, there is a fund, it's a state requirement that monies are held and the interest off of it gets paid to the schools each year. Unfortunately, that has not been done either. In conversation with the state auditor's office and Gary's got the form, there's $1,902 and some odd cents of interest that needs to go to them, as well as the $18,000 that is in the special fund. The state will take over those funds, and they said that if the commissioners vote for them to take over it, then we will be able to let them handle it. It won't have to come through us. They'll send the monies and keep them there. The first step is the commissioners to do it. Diane has already spoke with the bank in withdrawing the $18,000 in that process, but we have to do step by step. And it just requires a request letter to them that says that we want the state to take over it. In the meantime, we have to acknowledge that we have $1,000 and some dollars currently with 1902 that is payable to the schools immediately.
$19,004.41. This is, the annual report of Congressional, Common School, and Permanent Endowment Funds. If we let the state take care of this, it's one less thing our offices have to deal with, and I see no problem with that. So at this time, I'm gonna make a motion for approval for signature of this annual report of Congressional, Common School, and Permanent Endowment Fund.
I second that motion.
Got a motion by myself, second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. That was step one, correct, Sheila?
Yes. Okay, on Friday, Donna McElroy had sent an email. She's having issues with her Adobe and getting knocked off several times a day. I forwarded the email to our IT department. It has been suggested by them to possibly purchase additional items or license, because if not, it's gonna continue to happen. And with all of the major things coming up in courts, they just can't afford to be shut down. So I'm not sure what a license costs. I can contact them, and bring it back, and again, not sure which offices are even using them. I'm assuming that Mike and them can tell that as well, but
I've dealt with this before, and I forget, sometimes there was too many people on one license and that was causing the problem, so you're right, we need additional ones. If you want to have them respond to you with a price and bring it to the next meeting, that way we can move forward on that. But I am aware of that problem. And again, that was another deal that was kind of a mess before, and we're trying to sort it all out, and it's taken some time, and I know that some departments have had some issues, but we had issues before, so we're still trying to figure out what all is going on in this mess. And we're getting there, we really are. And again, if we need to do something different down the road, we will do that too. So, anything else?
I had forwarded the pre-budget report and data collections. It is due June 30th. I'm not sure that we're gonna have everything correct to send to them because we're still working with the council. The whole purpose of this is whatever your balances are, and this is the importance of the council taking action, and Jim, and the deadline dates on June 30th, whatever you have in your cash balances and availabilities is what the state uses to predetermine how much monies we're gonna get. So it's important that they take action as well as being able to fill this out. It can change. DLGF has offered to come down on August the 25th to sit with us for 1 hour, which is after the budget hearings, to give us suggestions. I feel it's a little too late. I think we need them beforehand. I'm gonna reach out to Commissioner Bennett and Fred Van Dorf sooner to see if we can get somebody to come in, and possibly even, we have a state lady that said she could even possibly come to the June 14th meeting to work, kind of help and direct them. So, but this is due, just not gonna be able to get the exact information or the information that we would want to help with the budgets for 2022.
Does each department have that, or do they need that, or is that something through your office?
This is just putting in the differences in referendums, excess levies, debt paid from non-debt.
All the information that
levy,
you have?
yes.
Gotcha, okay. Just want to make sure that we weren't leaving anybody out, that somebody that might need something there.
Gary was able to get with Toshiba and get a breakdown finally of the department's copiers and how much each one of them is. So we will be working to clean up, again, right now, the commissioner's budget. General fund has been paying for everybody's copiers, so to the department heads, we will be putting some more money or taking some out of yours to pay for it. It's a loud process. We haven't decided if we're gonna move their money into it or move out, but we'll do it. There's several other funds that have turned in additional appropriations for the council meeting, along with transfers. Some of those transfers cannot be done until after the additional appropriations are done. But I am very hopeful that we will have the majority of everybody out of the red by the June 30th date that will help us as well. In the past, and again, Jim has been providing the report showing where things are at. We did do a big group insurance thing with Lau. the WOW insurance or the group insurance and working through. There's still a few that we need to correct and update, but we got the majority of those done. There was an issue with the lit over the last few days of where they were being paid from and the loan payments. Those loan payments, again, 2017, 18, 19 have been being paid out of those specific line items. But we're just now hearing that that's not where they're to be paid from, so we're going to change those and get those corrected and the right amounts coming out of there. And then Jim had reference to the financial monthly report, again, that for the month, as well as Diane provided you guys with your blue sheets, that is the treasurer's report for the month. And that's all I have.
You said we have that report in here somewhere, Sheila?
The monthly one.
Yeah, the treasurer's report.
It was the bottom blue page on your packets.
Gotcha.
Blue one right there.
I see it. Okay.
Very bottom one.
Gentlemen, you have anything this morning?
No, nothing.
Gary, I got one thing.
Okay.
Cause I missed out just a little bit out there. You guys approved the claim this morning of $500-something or $600,000, puts the general fund back in the red, correct?
That's correct.
Now, meeting with Jim, and Jim, thank you for all your help last week on the rotation of vehicles. Money was put every direction. I had to come up with $8,000 on Friday to pay a bill because of stuff I didn't get done last year. We cannot continue to keep paying for mistakes of last year out of my budget. And I'm talking about myself, but I'm sure other departments feel the same way. My question is now that we're back in, excuse me, I broke my denture, so I don't have no teeth. You're back in the red. Now, the cutoff is June 30th. So is the council going to have to come up with money by June 30th to put into the general fund to carry us the rest of the year? Because State Board of Accounts told me, you're done paying anything out of the red, Sheriff. So it's affected, I mean, we're being strained at the moment, we all are. But my question is the council, and there's a couple up here, are they gonna have to come up with money by June 30th to put in the general fund to carry us through the rest of the year? Because if not, as the sheriff over my department, I'm gonna have to make some major moves, because I got a business to run.
Thank you for saying you got a business to run, because this is a business. Just because it's county government, it is still a business.
Because when Jim called me, or I don't know, Wednesday night, whatever it was, we have moved money, and she knows this, appropriated transfers, to get us all in the black. So we're not in red. Other than the payroll of $156,000 from last year that never got corrected, now the general fund. So I talked to Jim, I talked to Sheila, got my secretary down on Friday. We had to move money around to pay an $8,000 bill. And one of the claims that you approved today. At the end of June, I can't no longer do that. I'm done. There's no more moving money for me out of one budget to another to rob Peter to pay Paul. So either the council or however it's gonna work out has to come up with enough money to carry us through the rest of the year, or we're gonna have to be paying bills out of my department out a different way. If that makes sense. I can't.
Sam, you're correct. There's gonna have to be money moved from riverboat, lit, whatever. All that money is gonna have to be deleted from those funds to get back into the general.
It's gone, that's gone.
It's gone. And that's the thing that nobody seems to understand.
Let's rob the Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly, that's just what we're doing.
Peter and Paul are both now broke.
Yep. Zero is zero. It's that simple.
And it's not fair to punish the department heads, just like this, really, if he wasn't that 8,000 in the red that he had to carry over, he still has $400 and some left in that $120,000. But because of that, now he's having to change appropriations and transfers in order to correct it. And that's gonna become true of a lot of the departments because they all inherited in January those rollover deficits. And that's something that that was $500 and some thousand at the December 18th meeting, that is on top of being in the
Yes.
red and not enough here. So I will say, and again, as Jim said early in the meeting, and the commissioners agree, you know, June 21st is it. We're not paying anything else if it's gonna put people in the red, but we're gonna run into situations like this. So how do we handle it if they inherited something and they've already used their budget for the year? And there's a lot of departments that are gonna be like that because they got little amounts to begin with.
It's $591,000 was in December, so it was almost $600,000 that all these departments absorbed some of that debt into this year's budget. And then in return, we're asking, or I'm not asking, I guess the council's asking for a 20% reduction in your budget, and we've got 6 months left in the year. Folks, it's not gonna happen.
And with that, I'm glad you said that, because I have paid over $100,000 this year to take care of last year's mistake.
Yeah, so far, the year's not over
So
yet,
far.
yeah.
So at the end of June, I can't be paying no more last year's bills, it's not no longer, it's not my problem anyway, but I've had to do it. But with that being said, there's gotta be money available for me to pay my bills with what money I have left in my budget. But out of the general fund, I can't pay no more bills out of the general fund. At the end of June, we're done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. And one more thing to just touch base on, and it's called the Commissioner's Fund, but we have no control over that. That's to pay health insurance, liability, whatever. We have a health insurance bill of $1,002,000, and it was only budgeted $785,000. I didn't budget that because that's not what was turned in, but that's what was turned in by the previous auditor. We had liability insurance at $358,000 and was only put in at $150,000. So those bills still have to be paid out of general fund as well.
We had to take the money when we sold our vehicles on. We usually put that in repair equipment because we were stirring up something, you know. We had to spend $8,000 of that money Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna get tough. There's been some comments, and I'm just gonna touch on this and we'll get out of here. We do have assets, county owns property. We also have a CD. But again, once we get rid of all that, we got a big zero. We are not going to give up our county assets to fund a problem. That doesn't solve a thing, because if we sold every property that we had, we've got no assets anymore. We've got nothing to borrow against. So there's been talk of that out there. The only way we can do that is turn it into tax dollars back at us. That's the only way that we can get rid of any kind of property, if that makes any sense. But we can't just get rid of it and say, oh, let's sell it. Because all that does is just fill a big hole over here. And we have nothing to borrow against, if that would ever happen. So, Jim, you have anything?
Well, Chuck, kind of ask a question. Here's my understanding on the June 14th county council, it's two parts. I think it's been said, like, number one, 1A is, like, you heard all the work that the auditors have done, all the department heads, all the elected officials, yourself obviously included, of going through line by line of the budget and saying, I found this error, I found that. That's critical, because in order to then, you can now measure. Okay, but that's one of the problems right now. Is, for example, like Commissioner Burke just talked about, for the group liability. But we found there were 22 places where group insurance, 39,000 was that. So if you look at one, but there's 20 other places to look. That's all being looked at. That's got to be corrected. Part two is, after that, the smaller item, like in your case, what you talk about, the vehicle appropriation, for every group and every county, if it says 120, like it does in that case, is what you have absolutely adhered to. That's got to start June 21st. It just has to. Then the broader question that you had, there's avenues for the county council. The county council will take a look at that. There's some areas that could be cut. There's some areas that are available that funds could be would be limited, to carry through. But the reality is this, you'll hear this kind of 2 million thrown around all the time. There was, the annual report at 9 million, and there's about 7 million in cash. The amount of money that was spent in the red, if you look up there, was in that range of 2 million. Looking at the appropriations and the over expenditure in there, it's going to have to be a combination of cuts and transfers to take through. The general fund, the State Board of Accounts, is allowing that fund, the 1,000, so payroll is fine, but at some point in the summer, gotta be a complete plan of action. June 30th, in my opinion, purely my opinion, but June 30th is kind of the deadline. What's the road? What is the avenue? Two areas, Riverboat and Lidet 73332, seem to be probably the most common avenues with there. But in saying that, there still has to be a look at what are the prior obligations. It's not going to be that easy. And I don't know what things are. You can't just take, there's $1 million right now in Lidet. You can't take that 1 million and just put it in general. There's obligations all the way through. There's revenue streams. So, but that's going to be the severe task for the county council, is clean up 1A, and everyone's working on that, everyone is. 1B, what's the roadmap? Which map it is, with the understanding that on June 17th, whatever you have appropriated, that's it. There is no more. Use the old cliche, I mean, the well is dry. There's not been there. So if you only have $500 for that, there's no more. There's no more there. There's also about $400,000 that has not been expended. There's opportunities there for people for the first 5 months to need to spend it. Maybe some of that. But you have a counter argument, there's about $500,000 that's been overspent. You don't have the categories. So it's just not as easy as you say, let's take that 400, take that 400, and take that 1 million, and we're done. It won't be that simple.
It'll work out.
No. But I think that the main task by the 14th, what's the road? What road is the county council going to take? Cuts, transfers, tax increase is not a possibility, not 2021. There's only those two mechanisms, and they've got to match. And right now, you started today off with $25,000. Okay, that's how much is in the general fund. But there's other ways to succeed on that. But that's the mechanism.
That's what we started out with, and then we did claims, and now we're $250,000 in the red as of signing the claims today.
So, with that being said, I know we gotta go. With that being said, you got another commissioner meeting coming up, what day,
21st.
21st. You gonna approve more claims on 21st then? And put the general fund, and not your fault, I'm not blaming nobody, but you're gonna bring more claims on the 21st.
Correct.
Correct.
I'm not trying to speak for these gentlemen. Again, those claims are for things that have already been spent.
Sure.
It's not, we can say at this point, the 14th, there's gonna be a determination for each county organization. Here's how much we're gonna let you spend. Here's the appropriation. There's no more.
But they have to understand it. They've got to understand it. We got a business to run. I got expenses that has to be paid every 2 weeks, regardless, and I know what you're saying. So my question to the council, picking on it while they're here, they just gotta make sure that they understand there's gotta be enough money deposited in order to run these expenses all the way through December 31st till we get another settlement, because not, you come about September, you're gonna be broke again.
I guarantee that.
Right.
And if they appropriate, say, Monday night, they're gonna appropriate, we have to do that as an additional appropriation. So you're talking, they're gonna have to schedule an immediate meeting, enough time to give us 10 days for public notice, but they're gonna have to do another meeting before the end of the year to deposit money to get the general out of the red, or it's gonna roll over on the 30th in the red.
Because once the commissioners have the next meeting, you appropriate claims, pay claims, you know, that big red ball's getting bigger.
It's coming down.
Well, and what Jim said earlier, and hopefully everybody understands, when these claims come to us, this money's already been spent. It's been budgeted by the council. It's been turned over to the department heads. They're using their budget lines to spend this money or an appropriation. We're just approving for the check to be cut to go ahead and pay it. We don't spend money. We cannot spend money. We're just approving.
But the unfortunate part on that, we're spending money out of our budget for these claims, but we're also paying claims for last year that didn't get handled. It's coming out of every department head's budget, which Rob Peter, you pay Paul, everybody's broke now. So
all I can say is there was a lot of arguments for the last 2.5 years about what was wrong and what was right. Nobody wanted to listen, and here we are. And I can't say it any plainer than that, because I was involved in many of those arguments.
Yep, they lost $910,000.
This has been coming for 5 years. Why is it that everybody, all of a sudden, now that we are so deep in the hole, everybody's micromanaging and trying to, you know, cut or, you know, get blood out of a turnip when this has been coming for, why did this not start out, you know, 5 years ago? Why did somebody not catch this, that we were overspending?
Well, I can tell you why. Because we was misled of what the fund was.
That, and everybody wants to run the county instead of everybody doing their job. That is the biggest problem. It starts here and works its way down, and that's been a problem.
but you know, and with that being said, Gary, it's a good point, because me and Jim talked about this. Like, I'm just gonna use my department. You talk about internal controls. You know, whether you like Jeff Brothers or Jeff Brothers or not, Jeff Brothers had a great idea about internal controls. He talked about it over and over and over. But in my department, it doesn't make it, it's not the auditor's responsibility. If I've got $100 in this fund, it's my responsibility. We don't spend over $100. It's my secretary's, she started, or my jail matron, or my jail commander, or my chief. At the end of the day, it's not, you don't turn in a claim for $101 knowing you only got 100. So the department heads, you know, have to look back at their own selves and say, hey, I got a checkbook, here's what I got, I can't overspend it. Don't turn something in and get the old cliche that we heard from the years in back. We'll take care of it by the end of the year.
We'll make that appropriation, yeah.
Then you end up with not getting appropriations done, then you're stuck paying bills.
And that's what happened a lot of times, and again, you're right, Sam, we need to get out of here, but.
You said that
we got a few minutes here. I'm gonna take every one of them. But that's exactly what happened. The money was spent, and then they'd run to the council and go, hey, I need an appropriation. They didn't have the correct information, that appropriation was made, and it just kept deleting. I mean, guys, we gotta go back 2 years ago, we had $13.7 million in our checking account. We got 5 today. It's not a $2 million problem, it's an $8 million problem. And I don't want anybody to forget that. Because I think we get lost in that because, oh, we got $2 million to make up. No, we got $8 million to make up because that's where we sit in January of 2019.
The bad part of it is it looks on the people, not us, the people. Is I know, I've been in this for a long, long time, 13 years now. But when I took over the sheriff, we come, statistics, whole 9 yards, we delivered it to the council, to them. To get more things, and everybody's got more things, improved things, added on stuff like that. Unknown, we didn't have no money to pay for it. That's been going on for years and years, so we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul for years and years and years, and now we've got good stuff, we've got great equipment, stuff like that, but you can't pay for.
Yeah, and we can't have progress in this county because there's nothing to.
You can't move on.
Yeah, can't move forward with no money. All right, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I figured everybody would. Got a motion to adjourn, a second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Hey, Chris, Donna, I got this, if you wanna see, Sam, you wanna see this? It should be over half, if not more. You have a copy or a printer? You're not on there?
I'm not on here, no, because I kept my Gordon Flash.
That's right.
We didn't change over my printer.
And it will, once that contract runs out.
Yep. Well, it's, yes, you said in a couple of years, we'll look at it once you guys redo the.
Jim, I need to do anything with this. We didn't, this is on that planning commission.
Signing here and Lynette and, yeah, that's it. It's just a signature here and Sheila signs it.
No problem either.
I think I'll go, he voted against it, I think I'll go buy a piece of ground.
Go Sheila.
Hey. He must